African News, I'm Jolani Tulo Wepe.
SABC News, the African perspective.
Good morning and happy Friday. Happy Friday to you and yours. Thank you so much for being a part of this incredible family. It's day 5 of the work week. And of course, this is the day where we look at all things cultural, all things artsy, and all things music here on The Move. But first, thank you so much to the morning team of Channel Africa. That is Asanda Beda, Pete Ndoro, the news team, their producers, pretty much everyone who plays a part in this amazing programming. Thank you to that morning team. But now it's time for On The Move with myself, Palesa, and Benjamin Moshatama. We'll be with you all the way until 12 p.m. Central Africa time. So do join us on www.channelafrica.co.za. Happy Friday, Benji. I love your shirt. How are you doing?
Thank you so
Looking
much.
good.
Thank you. Yeah, man, we're looking forward to exposing the arts and culture of the continent, which is rich, which is diverse, encompassing all sorts of wonderful things. Well, we're going to be starting things on a very wonderful note, looking at the challenge of literature and artificial intelligence. And it's a challenging environment, right?
Yeah.
Where we are trying to see the authenticity of a writer, where you're trying to see something that feels like it's close to their artistry. And also writing is a skill, right? So what happens when AI comes in the space? That's the very interesting part.
We're going to check that out in the first hour of today's show. It's going to be a great final hour. I'm skipping the second hour because I'm so excited about this one. We'll be joined by renowned South African saxophonist, flautist, composer, and cultural activist Steve Dyer in studio.
Yeah, man. And then we're going to be discussing language in our second hour. Movango, South Africa's pioneering family drama series that really put focus on the language of Chivenda. Things are coming to a close there, but what did it do for, centralizing that language at a time when most vernacular dramas favored more dominant languages? Movango offered representation and visibility to a minority language, weaving rich storytelling as well, and exposing us to the Venda traditions. We'll be speaking to how the show like Movango, which shows something that's still a challenge, which is linguistic marginalization in dramas. What did it do, and how do we zoom into the challenges, and what are the breakthroughs in minority languages and giving them airtime?
Yeah, love that. Happy Friday and welcome to On The Move.
The rhythm of Africa, the pulse of the continent. This is Channel Africa, the African perspective.
Are you go? Are you go? Are you go? Are you go? Are you? Are you go? The person tell me say I go fall for a woman like you. I go say in papa, mama, brother, sister, thunder, fire, all of them. Because this kind thing where you the do. I been no say you go fit move me. She not only me, but you like overdo. She sweet you as she told me to move. Tell her the woman that I like. I feel no make everything alright. But if there's anything I can do, I saw be do I'm with my mind. Oh, let me jaw, don't be shy. You know you sweet my antenna. You must meet my antenna, my antenna, my antenna. Now you gon' let me be your one and only. Baby, oh baby. Now you gon' let me be your one and only. Baby, ooh baby. Couple goes not small. When we start our love, Rihanna go say she want her like this, oh. Couple goes not small. When we start our love, Beyonce go say she want her like this, oh. Hey, I just want to know if there be any chance for me and you. I just want to know, no, if there be any chance for me and you. Are you gone, 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 gone. Let me be your one and only.
Starting off on a strong note, this is Techno with the Gone Gone. You tuned in to On the Move right here on Channel Africa.
The KwaZulu-Natal Convention Bureau, in collaboration with Milvest Advisory and the city of Moshatama, bring you the 2025 Tourism Investment Forum Africa. As a global platform for local action, the Tourism Investment Africa aims to promote the secondary and tertiary cities and regions as attractive investment and tourism hubs. Be part of the movement transforming tourism in Africa. Join us for the TIFA 2025 from August 27 to 29 at Tembela Venue, Richards Bay, KZN, South Africa.
Je, una jambo lolote akilini mwako? Je, una shauku kuhusu masuala muhimu? Na je, una maoni ambayo unataka yasikike? Kweli, hili jukwaa ni la kwako. Piga simu au tuandikie kwenda WhatsApp namba alama ya kujumulisha 2760552594 na tutakupigia simu.
Mtangazaji wa habari zetu za Afrika Kusini mjini Johannesburg.
Hivyo unaweza kuwa mshirika kwenye matangazo yetu. Sio mazungumzo tu, ni fursa yako ya kuchangia maoni yako na kushirikiana na jumuiya ya wasikilizaji wanaotamani mtazamo wako. Tufuate kwenye mitandao ya kijamii. Tembelea tovuti yetu www.channelafrica.co.za na uwe tayari kushiriki na kuchangia maoni yako kwenye Channel Africa. Channel Africa, mtazamo wa Kiafrika.
9 to 12 midday, Central African Time. On the Move with Palesa and Benjamin Moshatama.
Hey, it's 11 minutes past 9 Central Africa time. Going into the conversations of the day right here on this Friday of On the Move. The Sokoto Book and Arts Festival 2025 is aimed at reshaping the narratives, celebrating cultural memory and amplifying voices through engagement of arts and literature. It's currently underway in Lagos, Nigeria, under this year's theme called Intersections. And today we're going to break down one of the critical panel discussions that are going to be taking place at the Sokoto Book and Arts Festival. It's titled AI and Writing Incompatible, and this really explores the world of literature now that AI has taken the world by storm. How do we tell authenticity? How do you create using these tools and also encourage sort of a forward-thinking part of literature? We're going to unpack this particular theme this morning with Fasasi Ridwan, co-curator of the Soba Fest 2025. Thank you so much for your time, Fasasi. Good morning.
Good morning. And yes, I am very honored to be here to discuss about Superfest and most especially AI and creative writing because I am also a writer, a poet to be specific.
Let's chat a little bit more about the Superfest first of all. How long has this particular Sokoto Book and Arts Festival been taking place, and what has been very exciting and new about the 2025 edition?
Superfest started exactly 2021, which make this year the 5th edition. And yes, what we've aimed to achieve so far is to bring creatives all around the world to kind of like discuss about literature, art, and most especially the Northern culture. You know, when we look at the Northern culture here in regards to literature and art, we notice there's this stiffness. So a group of people, let me say the group of students actually come together and feel like, okay, we can try to bring creatives all around because yes, we have talents, but then how do we explore them? And that is what Sokoto Book and Art Festival is all about. And yes, most especially, Sokoto Book and Art Festival 2025 actually comes with a lot of excitement because it is different. Why do I say it is different? If you notice what we are doing, our theme is actually intersection. And what do we aim to bring? We aim to bring different kind of things. We want to know how is the world viewing the Northern literature, how are they viewing the Northern culture? And one thing that's very distinct about it is that the new trend, the AI itself, we aim to explore how is it intersecting with this culture, with this Northern literature, with Northern art. So how are they intersecting? We are trying to bring a lot of components to see how is this influencing this? How is this influencing this? So I hope I have
Yeah.
said enough about that.
Yeah, it's wonderful. And it's great that you're exploring all these challenging themes because I think they are very timely with us being in the middle of artificial intelligence and the world exploring robotics. I mean, as a writer yourself, how do you navigate artificial intelligence? Do you think it's an enemy of a writer? Or do you think it's the enemy of the reader as well? Because we, the readers, can't tell whether it's from the author or it's from a machine.
For me, maybe it is because I'm a writer. I have this very strong belief about emotions when it comes to writing, because I'm a poet to be specific, like I said earlier. And one thing that holds literature or poetry to be very distinct is the emotion it carries. And for me, I believe that there is no how we want to do it. AI or robotics cannot give us as much emotion. In fact, I would say 0% emotion when it comes to AI. And that is what differentiates human writing from AI. Now, coming to the fact that most of these writings might come out, we won't be able to really kind of like differentiate between the AI writing and then the human writing. But one thing I'm always very specific about writing is the author itself. Where is the author from? When we look at how these AIs are being created, most especially the AI that we have now, let's talk about ChatGPT, let's talk about this Meta AI. We notice they are Western AIs. Yes, I know that we actually have African AI, but then the specific location of the writer usually influence them. So it is very easy to deduce, to kind of like fish out if there is something kind of like cunning when it comes to the writing. Because most especially if we look at Nigeria itself, you look at those that actually stays in North, you notice how they write is actually influenced by their culture, same as those that live in the East. And if we should look outside Nigeria also, we notice that the South African literature is a slight bit different from the Nigerian literature. So the location of the writers and how they are being influenced by this writing is what I'm usually focused on, to kind of like be able to distinguish if there is a bit difference between their between human writing and also the AI writing.
But Fasasi, is AI particularly an enemy of the literary world, or are we exploring enough tools that can actually help the writing world progress and, of course, adjust to where the world is now? I mean, they say if you don't adjust, if you don't adapt, you die. Is the literary world adapting to AI?
For me, I would say yes, and I would also say no, because it's a kind of paradox. And why do I believe it is a yes and also a no? Like I said earlier, I said AI can give us emotion, and that is already standard. AI can also tell our story intricately as much as we want to tell it. Because when we look at the way AI is being created, it is the mind of a lot of people. And what makes creativity distinct is a personal story. Like you want to tell a personal story. So it is very hard for you to tell from the minds of everyone when it comes to creative writing. But when you want to do maybe, let me say, article, essays, then you can actually go into that. But creative writing, it is just a big no. But then why I said it is actually more beneficial is that we can actually kind of like explore AI writing to kind of like think of how the future will look like. And that is when we get to talk about the speculative poetry, because we get a foreseeing of the future or what the future will be about. So as regarding the writing, AI won't be able to help. But for us to be able to kind of like write about what we think might be in the future, then it might be able to help.
Yeah, it's interesting what you're saying because you are defending the skill of the writer because you are the writer yourself. In other parts of the world, the big exploration is that are we going to need writers of different sorts, whether they're writers in the business space or writers in the creative environment? That's the big question around the world that people are asking. Is that something that you're going to be covering at the Soba Fest? And also, what is the critical authority that the writer actually has? We'll explore those themes after the break. Do stay with us there, Fasasi. We're speaking to to Fasasi Ridwan, who is the co-curator of Soba Fest 2025. We want to get your thoughts on that one. What do you think about artificial intelligence? Do you think one day it's going to take the job of the writer, or my job, or your job? Who knows? Let us know on our WhatsApp number, +27 63 406 9126.
We are on Open Views Audio Bouquet. Channel 628. The KwaZulu-Natal Convention Bureau, in collaboration with Milvest Advisory and the city of Mshatuse, brings you the 2025 Tourism Investment Forum, Africa. By positioning these regions for sustainable growth, TIFA helps drive their economic ambitions while providing access to critical capital, networks, and strategic insights on investments in the trade services sector, such as tourism. Join us for the TIFA 2025 from August 27 to 29 at Tembela Venue, Richards Bay, KZN, South Africa. Be part of the movement transforming tourism and infrastructure in Africa.
Get set and be ready to go. On the Move with Palesa and Benjamin Moshatama.
Hey, we're speaking about the literature world today, diving into a festival that is taking place right here on the African continent. It is right in Lagos, Nigeria, in that buzz of that city. And we're speaking to the Sokoto Book and Arts Festival, also known as the Soba Fest. It is looking at a wonderful theme, intersections. There's many intersections that are happening in today's world. Intersections between artificial intelligence and literature are ones that are making us question a lot of things, whether it's the idea of creativity, but also the moral obligations that we have in the creative world. Well, Fasasi Ridwan is the co-curator of Soba Fest 25. They have a very intriguing theme titled AI and Writing, and subtitled Incompatible as a question mark there. It's, someone might say, Fasasi, this is interesting what you're saying, because you are the writer and you are defending your job or your creative outlet. The world doesn't look the same. What do you say to people like that who say, well, the time for the writer is over, artificial intelligence is here and it's here to stay?
Well, when you said I'm defending my job as a writer, I think the first thing I want to say is it is no, I am not. It is just the reality. You know, humans are bonded by fear. Yes, we have fears. We know this is coming as a threat. But then when we look at the way things are, we humans are just complicated in the sense that this thing we call threat are not really the threat, but we ourselves are the threat. And why do I say that? Now, when we look at AI, for example, AI is actually a tool that we can actually utilize. But then humans are, how will I call it? They are kind of like over-dependence on it. And that is what kills us. Now, on the aspect of AI taking our job, what I believe is, as far as creative writing is concerned, AI can take the job fully. It can't. Because let's look at, for example, what we are trying to explore in Superfest regarding the intersection. We are not only trying to deal with the AI and writing, but also we're also trying to deal with post-colonialism and how it has affected Nigeria, especially northern Nigeria. Now, we look at stories like this. We want people that will be able to tell us this story creatively from an original insight, not from a mechanical insight. And AI will never be able to give us this story. We want to write a story whereby our children will come in the coming years, in the coming generation, they'll be able to read this story and feel like, yes, there is this touch of human in it. And AI can never.
I want to find out from you, Fasasi, do you think that the literary world, that authors like yourself and even, literary enthusiasts or those who love to read, do you think that there is a pushback?
Kind of
Fasasi, are you there?
Yeah, I am here.
Okay. I was just finding out from you. Do you think that there's a pushback from authors and avid readers alike from AI to hold on to that authenticity? And I know many industries are grappling with this. That AI is making things inauthentic. Is it fine to just change and adapt, or should we be holding on to the authenticity of literature?
Yeah, I mean, that is really what I've tried to kind of like pitch out earlier in my reply to the earlier question. We need to hold on to the authenticity, especially in Africa. There's a lot of stories to tell, and we need to tell it in its original form. We don't want it to come in form of, how will I call it, adulterated. Now, when we look at the way algorithm works, it's try to pick like it tried to solve the question by picking randomly from different sources. So for example, when you go to AI and then you typed about, I want to know about Africa, it brings different information from all sides, right? From the Western side, from the African point of view. You are not able to kind of like pinpoint precisely
Sure.
what you want to know about Africa. And it is the same when it comes to creative writing too. It is the same thing. So we want a situation whereby everybody will be able to tell their story. And when we look at the way African is, we are a very wide range of people. We want a story that will be very authentic. We want a story that we'll be able to read and feel like, yes, this is what really happens. We want stories that have been told from our point of view, not stories that are picked from random sources. Because when we look at the way stories are being told, everybody has their sides of story. The white men will come and tell us that, oh, we met Africans as an illiterate. But then that is just a very big lie, because African is actually an educated continent. We've been dealing with mathematics, literature, everything. In fact, we are one of the advanced world before they actually came. So they are going to tell that story from their point of view. And also we need to tell our story from our point of view. But then when we look at the way algorithm works, it kind of like bring in from every point of view, and it doesn't allow us to be able to pinpoint precisely which is the truth. So we need people to tell the story from our point of view as Africans.
Yeah.
We want them to tell the story and let it be very authentic.
So for Sasi, let's zoom into the festival itself. How have things been going? Tell us a little bit about some of the themes. You are co-curator as well of this gathering. Let us know how the event has been and some of the keynote speakers that have been involved in this year's festival.
So the truth is, this festival happening in a very kind of area that literature and art is not really being embraced is kind of like very hectic on the part of both the organizers and then the curators. Special thanks to Uchenna Emelife for supporting, for being the backbone, because the reality is that if it's just left to us as the curator, we've gotten to a point that we almost broke down, because we feel like, oh, how do we want to kind of like go with this? How do we want to make this Sokotokan Art Festival 2025 a success? But yes, we are getting close, and with what we've done so far, we believe that it's going to be one of the biggest festival of this year. Now, coming to look at who we are bringing and those we are bringing, we are trying to bring artists, trying to bring poets, writers, journalists to discuss, to analyze, to see how all this team that we're bringing together, all these challenges, how have they come into us, and how can we actually proceed after the solution. So we are trying to bring writers, trying to bring journalists, most especially those that are actually in depth with all these discussions. Now let's take Adamu Yauza Abdullahi, for example. He's a poet, and also he's a northern poet to be specific. So let me put it this way. He's one of people that we know that definitely they're actually interested in what happens, especially in the northern Nigeria. They are interested in how Nigeria operates, what has been the problem, what will be the problem, and what solution can we profile. We talked about, okay, there's also this big artist here. We talk of Boys Kido. We talk of how are these people actually infusing the northern culture into the modern Afro music. So all these people, we are trying to bring them in to show, to let them know that, okay, this festival is all about intersection, to know how art, how literature, how are they intersecting with the world, and how is the world meeting the Northern culture.
This sounds incredible indeed. Where can we go to find out more information about the Sokota Book and Arts Festival, Fasasi?
Yes, there's actually a website, and it is under www.bookoclock.com. You can actually check us. There's a section that is dedicated to Subafest. It contains all the details of Subafest that you need. You can get our ticket, both virtual and also the highlights of the event, both the first day. I don't know. I did not make a proper analysis of how Subafest is being run. It's a 3-day event. The first day is usually virtual discussions, which might come in form of like 4 virtual discussions. Then the second day is the main day of Subafest, whereby it is physical. And that is the day the gathering actually takes place, whereby there is book discussion, panel discussion, poetry performance, drama, every kind of play, every kind of performance. While the last day is usually the night of performance. And that is specifically for the open mic section, where everybody gets to perform their piece, sing to us. If you want to play guitar, yes, you are welcome.
Okay, that sounds very intriguing. We've run out of time, Fasasi. Where is it taking place? Is it happening in Lagos or is it happening in Sokoto? Let's just to get that correction there. Where is it actually happening?
Yeah, thank you for that. I actually wanted to make mention of it when you said Lagos. Sokoto Book and Art Festival is taking place in Sokoto State.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you for that correction. Well, we'll leave it there. I hope everything goes well there and enjoy yourself as well. That's Fasasi Ridwan, who is the co-curator of Soba Fest 2025. Let's quickly move on right now and get our sports update.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
And in this hour, in our sports update, we begin with football news. Former Liberian international footballer Emmanuel Wena has announced a nationwide initiative aimed at ending unpaid participation in organized sports and overhauling Liberia's athletic system to better support athletes. Speaking from the United States, Wena unveiled the Play with Purpose program, which he said will ensure athletes are compensated, represented by agents, and given digital exposure to attract international partnerships. The initiative, expected to roll out in the coming months, is designed to professionalize Liberian sports and prevent the marginalization of talent. A former Lone Star midfielder, Wena, earned more than 6 caps for the national team, making his debut in a 2010 friendly against Zimbabwe. Since retiring from active play, he is focused on advocating for athletes' rights and sports reform. 2027 Cricket World Cup Local Organizing Committee Board Chairperson Trevor Manuel has urged the members to make sure the event is a memorable experience for everyone. Cricket South Africa announced a 15-member board, including 6 independent non-executive directors, 5 non-independent non-executive directors, and 3 ex-officio members. South Africa will host the bulk of the matches, while Zimbabwe and Namibia will also come in on a bit of a cameo role. Manuel says every sector has to work together to make this a success.
The success of the Cricket World Cup will largely be because the national government can bring all 3 spheres of government into play. It's fundamentally important because if you don't have the Transport Ministry involved, you don't have airports that function, you leave bad experiences for those who come and visit the country. If you don't have our police service properly engaged, our tourists are going to have very bad experiences.
Representing the Namibian government, Deputy Minister for Youth and Sports Dino Baloti says the whole country is excited to play a role. He also announced that the infrastructure is about to be completed and will leave a lasting legacy for sport in that country.
And I'm so proud to announce that our brand new, I want to call it a world-class stadia, is going to be completed. And that facility, which also hosts Namibia's first high-performance center, is a result of us co-hosting, the Cricket World Cup. And it's only with this event that we now can proudly host a world-class facility with a high-performance center that caters for many sport codes. And I think all Namibians are quite excited.
And Nigeria's senior men's basketball team, D Tigers, quest to emulate the ladies crashed last night as they lost 75-91 to Senegal in the quarterfinal of the 2025 AfroBasket Championship in Luanda, Angola. The loss effectively put paid to their dream of also winning the championship and getting rewarded bountifully with thousands of dollars, houses and national honors back home. And so they will have to wait another 1 year before taking a shot at the continental title they have only won once in 2015. The drama of the earlier quarterfinals was Mali's 102-96 victory over Cote d'Ivoire, who had their hands on the semi-final ticket but lost it after overtime. The semi-final for the final ticket is Senegal against Mali. For any sports stories you'd like to share with us, please do send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +2711 714 4459. This is Channel Africa Sport with me, Fikile Lungwati.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective. Hi there. Do you want to elevate your business and give it a voice in South Africa and Africa as a whole? Well, in that case, let Channel Africa make this a possibility. Channel Africa is willing to advertise your business for as little as 30,000 rands or $1,719.18. To get access to these great rates, send all requests to mokoenata@SABC. That's MOKOENATA@SABC. Channel Africa, the African perspective.
Thank you, Fikile Ngwati. Let's keep things moving with our latest business news.
Business news on Channel Africa, the African perspective.
Good morning, I'm Nosipho Zuma. In your business news this hour, South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa holding bilateral talks with the Japanese Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba says South Africa is open for trade with countries willing to invest here. He met Ishiba on the margins of Tokyo International Conference on African Development. President Ramaphosa is advancing South Africa's presidency of the G20 and enhancing bilateral economic engagements with the government of Japan with a view to strengthening trade and investment ties between South Africa and Japan. He says South Africa welcomes anyone who invests in the country.
Japan has been in South Africa and investing in South Africa for years. And China has been our friend as well and is also investing. And we welcome both because both are beneficial to us. And we will never say, no, we love you better than we love the other one. We embrace both, and both must invest and deal with us to the extent that they can.
The Tourism Business Council of South Africa says, based on its findings, there is no justification for the dissolution of the South African Tourism Board. Now, this after the Tourism Minister Patricia de Lille announced the board's dissolution. De Lille cited its failure to address the legality of the procedure it used to convene a special meeting earlier this month when it decided to put the CEO Nombulelo Guliwe on precautionary suspension. De Lille asserted that the decision was unlawful. Tourism Business Council CEO Chiviwa Chivengwa.
What we do know is that whatever dispute is there between the board and the minister does not warrant the dissolution of the board, from what we have been told. It warrants a meeting to find each other and to make sure that, there's continuity. There is nothing that we had that's so alarming that can convince us to say, yes, indeed, the dissolution of the board was the right thing.
One of the biggest foreign direct investment commitments in Botswana's history has been made with the signing of a historic $12 billion investment deal with AI Mansour Holdings of Qatar. Now, according to Gaborone government officials, the agreement will direct funds towards industrial development, energy and infrastructure projects, all of which are considered essential to diversifying the economy away from diamonds, which currently generates over 80% of export earnings. In addition to tackling domestic issues like unemployment and the pressing need for modern infrastructure, the agreement reflects Botswana's efforts to strengthen its ties with Middle Eastern investors. U.S. President Donald Trump has backed down from setting high tariffs on pharmaceuticals and semiconductors imported from the European Union. Last month, Trump said pharmaceuticals and semiconductors were not covered by the U.S. and EU's handshake trade deal. But now, according to new details released about the EU and the U.S. agreement on Thursday, EU pharma and semiconductor tariffs will be limited to 15% in line with most other sectors in the trade deal. And finally, oil prices are a little changed today but are on track to snap a 2-week losing streak as hope for immediate peace between Russia and Ukraine dimmed, increasing the risk premium demanded by oil sellers. Brent crude futures were down 4 US cents to $67.63 US dollars a barrel, while West Texas Intermediate crude futures fell 1 cent to $63.51. Now both contracts climbed more than 1% in the prior session. Brent has risen 2.7% this week, while the WTI has gained 1.1%. Your financial indicators: $1 US in Nigeria is trading at 1,000 naira 534, and Botswana is 13.39. Kenya, the dollar is trading at 128 shilling 32, and in Zambia is 23.29. The BRICS countries: $1 in Brazil is trading at 5 rupee 48. Russia is 80 rubles 48. India is 87 rupees 04. In China, it's 7 yuan 18. And South Africa, $1 is trading at 17 rand 68. $1 is trading at 74 pence to the British pound and 85 to the euro. Looking at commodities, gold is trading at $3,333 and platinum at $1,344 per ounce. The price of Brent crude oil is at $67.59 a barrel. Now, for any business news stories you would like to share with us, please send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +27 11 714 4459. For Channel Africa Business, I'm Nosipho Soma.
Business News on Channel Africa. The African Perspective. Download the SABC app and take Channel Africa with you everywhere you go. The KwaZulu-Natal Convention Bureau, in collaboration with Milvest Advisory and the city of Mshatuse, brings you the 2025 Tourism Investment Forum, Africa. By positioning these regions for sustainable growth, TIFA helps drive their economic ambitions while providing access to critical capital, networks, and strategic insights on investments in the trade services sector, such as tourism. Join us for the TIFA 2025 from August 27 to 29 at Tembela Venue, Richards Bay, KZN, South Africa. Be part of the movement transforming tourism and infrastructure in Africa.
Zilipendwa na Abedi Jean de la Croix.
Wewe ni mjasiriamali unajihusisha na biashara ya kuuza dawa. Jaribu kutuambia kwanza, kwa nini ulianzisha biashara hiyo?
Tutasema kwamba maisha ya kila siku ni kwamba mtu anapashwa kuwa na maisha ya kuweza kujitegemea. Usitegemee kuajiriwa, lakini utegemee kujiajiri, na baadaye utaweza ukaajiri wengine. Na hiyo ilinipa msukumo mkubwa kwa kuweza kujiajiri na kampuni hii kwa ajili ya kuweza kuwasaidia wale ambao wanahangaika zaidi.
Unauza aina gani ya dawa?
Unasema ni dawa, lakini kwetu sisi tunaita kama vile ni pipi, ambayo ni virutubisho ambavyo vinakwenda kusaidia kwa wale ambao wanatatizwa na aina tofauti ya magonjwa.
Virutubisho hivyo sasa vinatibu magonjwa gani?
Virutubisho hivi vinatunza magonjwa kama vile ya kisukari, shinikizo la damu.
Zilipendwa kila Jumamosi kuanzia saa 12 kamili majira ya Afrika ya Kati hadi saa 1 kamili majira ya Afrika ya Kati.
No time to waste. Be on the move with Benjamin Moshatama and Palesa.
For your mother, I be go. For your mother, I go carry go. For your mother, I go scatter city, scatter town. Oh, Iba, oh, Iba. If I ever have your man, I go choose you before everybody. Oh, Iba, oh, Iba. Call my number +234. What the hell are you waiting for? Fry my brain with your cooking pot, baby, no way to. Full import, sexy girl in a blue pin Porsche. Smash up girl, we don't need my funds. Oh my lord, oh. Oh, Eva, oh, Eva. If I ever be your man, I go choose you before everybody. Oh, Eva, oh, Eva. I go choose you before everybody. For your mata, I be akka girl. For your mata, I go carry girl. For your mata, I go scatter city, scatter town. Akka. For your mata, I be akka girl. For your mata, I go carry girl. For your mata, I go scatter city, scatter town.
Dans mon trône, il me manque une vraie queen. Une vraie. Maintenant que t'es là, rassure-moi bébé. Tu seras toujours la mienne. Tu sais, je suis tout à toi. T'inquiète pas, je suis sous emprise. Nana Kobalo, Nana Lela, Nana Yo. T'es ma meilleure carte d'Afrique.
Oh, Eva, oh, Eva. If I ever be your man, I go choose you before everybody. Oh, Eva, oh, Eva. I go choose you before everybody. Akka. For your mata, I be akka girl. For your mata, I go carry girl. For your mata, I go scatter city, scatter town. Akka. For your mata, I be akka girl. For your mata, I go carry girl. For your mata, I go scatter city, scatter town. Oxy lady from Africa. Oh, yo, original.
Hey man, that is Oxlade with Fali Pupa with one titled Ifa. Hey, I was actually reading a very interesting thing on LinkedIn as we're listening to that song, Pali, and someone was arguing on LinkedIn and saying, well, you guys are like always criticizing. It's funny how algorithms work. I'm just thinking about it because
Like,
we're speaking about AI.
Essentially, even when you think about something these days, it will pop up on your algorithm.
Yeah, so I'm like, I'm actually, while I'm saying that, I'm like, how do they know that we were talking about AI? Anyway, this thing that came up on my LinkedIn says, the guy's like, well, you guys are always complaining about artificial intelligence, but you guys are fine with ghostwriters.
Right.
Yeah, ghostwriter is like not you writing the book.
Yeah, but
you've got your name on it.
I think more than anything, it's just also the huge confusion around AI because it really is just the beginning. We actually don't know how much further it's going to go. And there's a lot of fear for the unknown in that way, especially because it's coming in as a tool in literally all these industries. And people are like, okay, we're confused what to do with this tool. And we're also sort of scared because it can do some of the things that we've been doing.
Yeah, but also we're constantly training it. So AI is not always a solution for everyone. And I think our guest got it right to say it doesn't understand the context of your location, your perspective.
Yes.
It has no knowledge of also your details and your lived experiences, right? So as a writer, you probably are going to leave out a lot of things that are really colorful if you're only going to go with AI.
Do you think there needs to be a whole new category, in fact, in most of the creative sectors? Do you think there should be a whole new category that is inclusive to AI rather than just, pushing it away and saying, yeah, this is not the place for you?
I don't think we need new categories at all, but we just have to be realistic. Look, when you put together a book, so many people are part of that cycle, right? So it's not just the author. You also have the editors, the sub-editors. You have a whole machine that actually gets to that final product, right? So are we holding on to things that AI can do easily? Or are we saying that the process in itself just belongs to the writer? But it's never been just about the writer. It's been about other people who are also part of that writing experience. Post what the writer has as a manuscript, gives it to the publisher has to sift through it. At times books change, the angles change, because the editor is like, no, I don't like this chapter, change it.
You know what? What I would like though is to be a fly on the wall at the Sokoto Book and Arts Festival to hear what the panelists and the audience has to say there in Nigeria about AI and the literature world, and what the writers have to say, but also what the avid readers have to say. Are they going to make space for it, or are they just going to try and adjust and make sure that there are boundaries with AI that are put in place?
Yeah, when you read a book, the perfection that you see in that book is probably not the original manuscript. Are we holding to precious elements, or should we be saying, hey, let it go? AI is here to stay.
Let us know what you think about this conversation. We are at Channel Africa 1 on most, if not all, of our social media platforms. We are also live streaming on YouTube and Facebook. We, of course, love you to be a part of these conversations. It's 9:50 Central Africa time. We continue to be on the move.
Get Channel Africa on DSTV Audio Bouquet. Channel 802. The Upside. Your afternoons just got even better.
Bantu Biko Street by Simpiwe Dana. Ndi ready. Simpiwe, 20 years in song. So what emotions come up when you hear that, hey, you've been doing this for 20 years now?
It almost feels like no time has passed, eh? I just, I know obviously time has passed, but I don't feel it. Even about my age, I'm 45. I always get shocked when I think, oh my God, in 5 years' time, I'll be 50. Because for me as an artist, it's almost like when you come to certain things, time stands still. And as a result, you find that a lot of artists are very childlike, which, it helps them to always have a fresh approach to issues.
I tell you what, I'm feeling healed just by that.
We take no sides, none whatsoever. We are the Upside. Palesa and Benjamin fuel your day with fresh African perspective on Channel Africa.
Promise me we wouldn't play no games. We were floating in the clouds, no pain. But it ain't the same when you look at me, honey. When you say my name, when you kiss my lips, buddy. When you hold my hand, look into my eyes, I don't see the spark anymore. Now, sister, now I'm walking funny. I must be crazy, crazy in your love. Now, sister, now I'm walking funny, baby, oh. Watu yanditanda watawsozuyeke ndakuniga lonke ixesha lam. This love just ain't the same. You lost the feeling, now I'm seeing flames. But it ain't the same when you look at me, honey. When you say my name, when you kiss my lips, buddy. When you hold my hand, look into my eyes, I don't see the spark anymore. Now, sister, now I'm walking funny. I must be crazy, crazy in your love. Now, sister, now I'm walking Uthanda fanelanga lube lungu this way. Why you dance and feel this way? I'll penduli when I call your name. Oh, why? Why you make it feel this way? Uthanda fanelanga lube lungu this way. Baby, why you dance and feel this way?
This is Amanda Black with Mina Nawe.
Yummy, yummy voice.
Beautiful song, man. And great voice indeed. It's 9:55 Central Africa time. It is Friday here on The Move. And of course, we're going to have a little bit of fun. But first, let us know your thoughts on our first hour conversation. We're speaking about AI and writing. And if you think, especially if you're someone who loves to read, do you think you'd be able to tell the difference between an author who wrote themselves or maybe through a human being? Because it might not be themselves, it might also be that ghostwriter Ben was talking about, or do you think you can tell the difference between an actual human writing and literature and artificial intelligence if it were to become more of a norm in the literary world? Let us know. We love to hear from you, and we're going to keep things moving into the next hour of the show here on The Move. It's still going to be fun, and today we're going to be speaking about something that's quite interesting because I mean, Africa is one of the places in the world that has, so many languages. Most of our dialects have sub-dialects, and most of our countries have more than one language, some even well into the hundreds of languages in their different dialects. But even so, there will always be, languages that are put in the forefront and those that remain sort of unseen, unheard for the most part. And those languages aren't just languages. They're also part of a culture. They're also part of a tradition. That means there are a whole set of people that aren't as seen as other people in our different countries here, simply because of language and culture. And so some of them are very marginalized. And when that, is brought to the forefront through media, that changes something big. And we're going to be using one of South Africa's pioneering family dramas, Mubango, as an example of this, or a case study of this, in the next hour of the show. Chivenda is one of South Africa's most marginalized languages here that also come with the richness of their own cultures. And this particular series, having aired for 28 years in South Africa, really brought the language, the culture, and marginalized groups to the forefront.
Yeah, also the language is fantastic. I love the fact that it brought that Venda culture centrally.
Yeah.
But also the life and the way the people, the vendors, how they lived, that was also what made it intriguing. Because you can have something that is showing rather displaying a language, right? But then it's not really showing you a culture. Why I don't watch a lot of dramas these days, right, is because the storyline looks the same. The context looks the same. Everything is happening in Joburg. People adjusting to different family battles. There's always kind of like the big entrepreneur versus the underdog somewhere. And it feels all the same. And I feel most of the time these dramas are also just pushing a more urban culture than a real cultural experience of something that you've never seen before.
Yeah.
And I think that's what Mubango did very well.
And the beautiful thing is that it showed that interaction between rural Africa and modern Africa. And it really went in between, because we were speaking about, the power of a matriarch, or the power of a kingdom in particular here in the story of Mubango. And here's a kingdom, very traditional, very rural in the entire setting, but then they show how those people are interacting with their city counterparts, and it's just showing two different dynamics of that language, that culture, and the richness of who the people are.
Yeah, speaking about Venda, have we ever had a Tsonga drama series?
I don't know. I think there are, though. I think we have had a few. I'll have to think about that. There is one that I think I remember, but it's also one of those very marginalized languages in South Africa. Same, but I mean, they pop up here and there. They pop up here and there, but they just aren't popular enough.
That would be a nice one.
I've never seen one.
That would be a nice one. Like having a Khoisan drama of like a modern Khoisan family navigating what's happening in the Kalahari Desert. I'm telling you.
You should. Are you going to patent that?
I don't have the context. I don't have the story to tell.
Patent it quickly. All right, we keep things moving. We're going into that conversation in a bit. For now, let's get our latest news update with Jolane Tulongwebe.
SABC News. The African Perspective.
Top stories, Asaba, a report detailing Eswatini's human rights and traditional leaders in South Africa call on politicians to stop interfering. Good morning, I'm Jolani Tulongwebe. The Human Rights Measurement Initiative says Eswatini's human rights is a reflection of a deeply constrained civic environment. The data is contained in a report released by the initiative on Eswatini, painting a sobering picture of the country's human rights landscape. East and Southern Africa engagement lead at the Human Rights Measurement Initiative, Nkosi Sibanda, says citizens are not safe from the state. The report highlights widespread restrictions on freedom of expression, assembly and political participation, alongside deep socio-economic inequalities that continue to affect vulnerable groups. Sibanda elaborates.
You'll notice that the score on economic and social rights really reflects the deep-seated inequalities that exist in Eswatini, and the more urgent need is particularly in the right to work and the right to housing. Eswatini is one of the lowest scoring countries again when it comes to the right to work. And also the right to food. Actually, all the scores that we track, none of those scores fall under even the fair range of our scores. They all fall between either the bad or the very bad range of our scores.
Thousands of members and supporters of Tunisia's powerful Tunisian General Labour Union held protests in the capital Tunis over what they called a decline in union rights and civic freedoms. It was one of the largest political demonstrations Tunisia has seen recently and comes amid a deepening standoff between the Labour Union and President Kais Saied. Last month, the union's strike over wages and working conditions disrupted transport services across the country and piled pressure on Saied to deal with the deepening economic crisis. Yesterday's protest started in front of the UGTT headquarters in Tunis and passed through the Habib Bourguiba Avenue, the site of mass protests that led to the downfall of President Zine al-Abidine Ben Ali in 2011 and sparked the Arab Springs uprising across the Middle East. At least 7 bodies have been recovered from a shallow grave and on a site in Kenya where victims of a religious cult are suspected to have been buried. Excavations were continuing at the site on the outskirts of Malindi in southeastern Kenya's Kilifi County yesterday, close to where hundreds of members of a doomsday cult were found dead 2 years ago. In July, Kenya's Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions said it believed victims buried at the site may have been starved and suffocated as a result of adopting and promoting extreme religious ideologies. At least 11 suspects are being investigated in connection with the deaths. Our correspondent in Kenya, Alex Kiari, has more.
So far, it's around 7 bodies that have been found, and some of them are actually quite fresh, which means that they were buried recently. And this is being linked to one of the former followers of the sect who survived the first killings that happened, or can we say maybe mass suicides, because most of the people there died out from starvation, which was self-inflicted in a way. But this person actually, after being rehabilitated, it is understood that he actually went back and started his own sect that actually was based on the same beliefs that were being preached.
Traditional leaders in South Africa have called on politicians to stop interfering in the affairs of the royal families for their own selfish interests. This came out at the end of the 3-day traditional leaders Imbizo in Boksburg in the east of Johannesburg yesterday. Earlier, politicians from the ANC, EFF, MK Party and Action SA were called in to address the gathering. This followed concerns that some politicians in the Free State and Northwest provinces are too involved in the succession battles of some royal families. Chairperson of the National House of Traditional and Khoisan Leaders, Kgosi Thabo Siatlholo, says minerals in rural areas must benefit communities and not politicians.
We have directly engaged politicians and those in government to say issues of royalty are sensitive and sacred. We should not be seeing politicians or even senior officials for that matter wanting to interfere on who should be and who should not be. It's the duty of the royal family to appoint the right person. Whether the business or there's mining there, they should refrain from coming to want to interfere on putting a person they know they will easily corrupt so that they can take whatever they want from the community without having to give a share that is due to the community.
The former Thai Prime Minister Thaksin Shinawatra says a court in Bangkok has acquitted him of violating strict laws against insulting the monarchy. Thaksin denied infringing lèse majesté laws during an interview 10 years ago and has reportedly expressed loyalty to Thailand's king. The BBC's Jonathan Head reports.
Technically, the lèse majesté law covers only the 4 top figures in the monarchy. But in practice, it's been interpreted to criminalise any comment or action which might negatively affect the royal institution. This time, the judges interpreted the wording of the law literally and said that as Mr Thaksin had not named names, there was no case to answer. He still faces one more criminal investigation, and his daughter, Petongtan, will find out next week whether she will be disqualified as Prime Minister by the Constitutional Court.
Recapping the top story this hour, the Human Rights Measurement Initiative says Eswatini's human rights is a reflection of a deeply constrained civic environment. For any news stories you would like to share with us, please do send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +27 11 714 4459. For Channel Africa News, I'm Cholani Tulongwepe.
SABC News. The African Perspective.
Thank you, Joalane Tulo. She'll be back in the next hour. That's Joalane Tulo Ngwepe, and she'll make sure that we get our latest news there. We're moving into this hour in a very interesting way, as we've seen the ending of Muvhango, a very famous South African soapy, which really centralized the Venda language. It's had a little bit of Tsonga as well, no? Yeah, now and then it would have that. Yeah. But it also showed the tradition, not just the language. And we're speaking about marginalized languages or even small languages in a country like vendors. We don't have a lot of vendors in South Africa, right? Compared to the Zulus and the Xhosas. Yeah. And, we hardly see a difference. I feel like the Zulus and the Xhosas get it a lot. They get their music. Mm-hmm. And they get their soapies.
Yes. isiZulu makes a lot of sense because it is the most spoken language in South Africa, and they are the majority when it comes to language here in South Africa. So there's more Zulu language speakers than any other language in South Africa. So it makes sense because that's where the money is, right? And media is money, and that's how, we should remember to think about it as well. Media is money, and so what is going to be most popular will look for the people that will help it make the most money. So it will target where there is more language, where there's more people, and where there's more avenues of making money. But those marginalized languages, they exist, and they're part of such rich and beautiful cultures. And when we've seen them come to the forefront, I've seen a huge change in South Africa since Muvhango and, it being on TV, because people started learning words in Chivenda language. People started knowing different things about the culture, the clothes, the music, all of that was encompassed in this TV series. Yeah, and what happens there when you just focus on something that's more like popular because there's more people speaking on it, you miss the representation of the smaller languages, right? So we'll speak around that. What did Muvhango offer when it comes to
and visibility of the minority language, and how did it also create that linguistic centralization? And it should be a good conversation with our guest. Dr. Yanga Majola is a sociolinguistic and an academic manager for the Faculty of Humanities within the Tshwane University of Technology. What's your take on that? Do you think we can represent all languages in our soapies? I would love to have a multilingual kind of soapy.
Yeah.
You know, growing up we used to have those Tswana, Sesotho, and you'd have like those kind of
I think they
soapies.
still exist. I think many of our most prominent soapies might have like an overpowering language, but there's all, and it really does encompass what South Africa is like. Because if you come into the South African city context, which is usually the context of like our soapies, our TV dramas, you're in a space here in Johannesburg in particular where it's a melting pot of different languages, and that is shown to an extent in our TV dramas and series.
Yeah. So what's your take on this one? Language in our series, in our movies, in our soapies. Give us your thoughts on our WhatsApp number, +2763 406 9126. I see you guys there coming in on our live stream. Thank you so much for joining us. Keep joining us in the conversations, and let us know where you are watching from. And remember, our live stream is going on our Facebook page, which is titled Channel Africa, and also our YouTube page. Use that handle at Channel Africa 1.
The rhythm of Africa, the pulse of the continent. This is Channel Africa.
África. Conhece o Ntivani?
Claro que sou eu.
Ntivani é o amante da música de corpo e alma.
Eu amo música africana.
Ele aprecia todos os tipos de melodias e passa os seus dias a ouvir a Channel Africa. Adivinha só, a Channel Africa quer ajudar o Ntivani e os amantes da música em todo o lado a descobrir ainda mais música incrível. Por isso, a Channel Africa está a convocar artistas africanos a submeterem as suas músicas. Músicos, lembrem-se de nos dar todas as informações relevantes no music@channelafrica.co.za. As submissões são a vossa oportunidade de ser ouvidos, mas não garantem inclusão na lista. Todas as submissões serão cuidadosamente analisadas para verificar se cumprem os requisitos da nossa estação. Canal África, a perspectiva africana.
Step into the heart of the day on the move with Palesa and Benjamin.
All right, we're going to be looking at language in our TV environment. We have one fantastic TV series that has come to an end, which is Movango, South Africa's pioneering family drama series, which centered one of South Africa's official languages, Tshivenda, which stood very much for a long time as a marginalized language. Bringing Tshivenda is something that this drama did. Movango, it exposed its cultures, its narratives, and also brought it into the mainstream in national television. At a time when most vernacular dramas favored more dominant languages, Movango offered representation, and it weaved in also the culture of the vendors within its storytelling. After a long run, 28 years, the final episode aired on the 8th of August 2025. We talk about how shows like Movango, with Tshivenda at its core, challenge linguistic marginalization, and we also zoom into the challenges and breakthroughs in giving minority languages airtime. To help us on this one, Dr. Yanga Majola joins us, a sociolinguistic and academic manager at the Faculty of Humanities within Tshwane University of Technology. Dr. Majola, welcome on the show.
Good morning and welcome, Benjamin, and thanks for inviting us.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about this. Dr. Yanga, language on TV, in our music, is it important to have diversity?
I think it's very important. Fortunately, this week I'm attending the inaugural conference of the Linguistic Society of South Africa at Beachwood Hotel and War Campo Conference Center in Boksburg. And we are discussing things like what you have just now mentioned here, the issue of linguistic rights, the issue of language marginalization, and so on. So I think in a country like ours, it is important to acknowledge the diversity, linguistic diversity that we have. In terms of our statistics, we've got 12 official languages, including South African Sign Language. And 9 of these languages are mostly indigenous languages. This includes Chivenda. But in terms of the numbers, Chivenda is the second lowest in terms of statistics. It is spoken by 1.4 million, and number 1 is Afrikaans, spoken by 6.3 million speakers in South Africa. So it is important for us to understand that the inclusion and diversity in these languages is going to help even languages like Chivenda to be able to be accommodated in spaces such as television, such as in music, and the likes.
Dr. Majola, you know, a language is not just a sound, it is a people. And here in the African context, a language, you know, goes hand in hand with a people, its culture, its traditions, their way of life, and how they've interacted with the past, the present, and the future. And there was a time here in South Africa where if you were to say nda or a, which is part of the Chivenda greetings, nobody would understand. But it is the series of Mubango that brought people into the world of richness and culture. Let's speak about that a little bit. When a language is marginalized, how does that impact us knowing about its cultures, those people and their traditions?
You are very correct. I am from a small town called Umzimkhulu, former Transkei, later Eastern Cape, and now KwaZulu-Natal. I didn't know Chivenda. Actually, the first Chivenda speaking person was my first roommate when I got to university at around 2009. I hadn't known Chivenda, but the only thing I knew about Chivenda was what I saw on Mubango. And this is the case with all my family members and other people who are from the Nguni language group. And exactly as you have correctly put it, some of the greetings in Chivenda, the different greetings in Chivenda that we have for the morning, for the afternoon, for the evening, we learned through Mubango. But we also learned about the importance and the respect of the Bavenda, the people of who speak Chivenda. You know how they do the I don't know what it's called, but you know how they would sort of like bow down, the ladies, when they see and respect a person of a high stature. This would not have been possible had it not been for programs like Mubango. You've got so many people now that would say to you that, look, I don't know Chivenda, or I've not had an opportunity to learn Chivenda, but I was able to learn a little about it through Mubango, particularly because there are subtitles. And those people appreciated that a language that is, I would regard as marginalized because of the statistics that I gave, that it is at the top, at the bottom in terms of the number of people that speak it. So Mubango played that crucial role in terms of ensuring that people learn about their culture, they learn about their language, and that actually put that language on the map.
Mm-hmm. You know, it's all about money, right? And you spoke about the fact that, you know, the vendor people are only 1 point something million here in South Africa. So to invest in such a show would be a bit of a risk, right? But Mubango broke a lot of records because people outside of the vendor culture started watching Mubango, and it kind of worked against the recipe, because one would have assumed that it's only the vendors that were going to watch that particular soapy. What's your take around the exposure of minority language versus the concept of saying, is this going to make me money?
I think we cannot bring money when we want to talk about people's cultures, people's livelihoods, people's languages. And I think this is part of why some of our African languages today are not used, are not what we would call intellectualized. That means used for business, used in economy, for banking, in technology and so on. This is exactly the mentality that, look, there's no money for that. But this does not appreciate the socio-linguistic realities on the ground. That means that this is the languages that people speak on the ground. These are the languages that people use on the ground. The Constitution of South Africa acknowledges 12 official languages, and Tshivenda is one of them. It actually does not recognize it in any hierarchy or in any order, but it is recognized equal to English, equal to isiZulu. So it is actually a misnomer that you would have people saying that we can be able to develop English, we can develop isiZulu, but we cannot develop Tshivenda. One interesting fact that we heard from Ndade Pari Lekgotla yesterday, who was one of the panelists in our conference, the former statistician general, he said something interesting about Bavenda when he gave statistics about people with the most degrees in South Africa.
Mm-hmm.
And he said to us that after English and Afrikaans, it's Vavenda that follow, which means that the Vavenda, they may be few in number, but they actually have an impact in the education system of our country, as opposed to the other languages, therefore. And the last thing that I want to touch on that is on that point, if you look at the news bulletin that we have, and this was alluded by Ms. Patty Swama-Hopeni, who's executive director at Press Council of South Africa.
Yeah.
She indicated that when you look at Tshivenda news, first of all, it is at 5:30. This is the time where people are traveling from work. They are not sitting on the news. But if you look at the Nguni news, they play 7 days a week, and they play at 7:30 or 7 when people are actually sitting and listening.
Okay.
Tshivenda on the other side.
Dr. Majola, I need to stop you there for now. And I know there's so many examples that can be used to show how marginalized this particular language is. We need to take a short break and we'll continue to have this chat with you after this. Stay with us. We're speaking about marginalized languages on the African continent, using a perfect example of a TV series that has brought the language of Tshivenda to the forefront.
On the Move, weekdays, 9 a.m. to midday. Only on Channel Africa. #On the Move. In this episode of Channel Africa Conversations, Peter talks to Dr. Thulisile Buddha, an academic, author, and an expert in indigenous knowledge systems. Join us for a compelling discussion on preserving African languages and traditions in the digital era. Dr. Thulisile unpacks the role of educators, explorers, and how technologies like AI can support cultural preservation, and challenges us to rethink how we honor African heritage. You can find the episode on YouTube, SABC Plus, and on our website, channelafrica.co.za. This episode is a must-listen for educators, creators, and change makers across the continent. Channel Africa, the African perspective. Palesa and Benjamin, fuel your day with fresh African perspective on Channel Africa.
This is a truly fascinating conversation that we'll continue with Dr. Yanga Majola, social-linguistic and academic manager for the Faculty of Humanities at the Tshwane University of Technology, speaking about how a South African TV series, Mubango, pioneered bringing to the forefront a very, very marginalized language of Tshivenda here in South Africa. And we're zooming into those challenges of linguistic marginalization in our communities, in our countries, but how, the likes of TV can really change that and help to break through some of those challenges. Thank you for staying with us, Dr. Majola. Let's talk a little bit about how, how a language is received from people through media. I mean, this is not just about our interaction every day with one another on the street, but media has a really, really strong input in how we view languages, how we view people, and how we view their cultures.
Yes, that's correct, Palesa. I think if you look at some of these programs, your telenovelas, your drama series on our television today, you'll realize that they try to tell the stories of the people of South Africa. It's stories about real people, it's stories about real life, and language is at the center of that. So Mubango is one of those. That is actually, for me, it had shown a lot about the Vavenda, that no book has been written about that. And actually, if you read a book it would be so difficult for that to reach everybody. But if you look at the dramas and the telenovelas that we have, it's so easy to reach everybody because that is readily available on SABC, where it was aired. And so it becomes very easy for everybody to access. There's no subscriptions that are needed. People can just be able to access that. So media plays that important role in bringing the real live stories of the people of South Africa, their language, their culture, how they do things, and how they relate with each other, their history. So this show for 28 years has been able to do that and has been consistent. And one of the things about Mubango that stood out for me was how they were so respectful to the culture of the Vavenda throughout for the past 28 years consistently, and they ensured that they give us a sense of what happens in Venda.
Now let's speak about some of the other marginalized languages in South Africa. And these are only examples because we're using our own context. But all across the African continent, there are an array of languages. There'll be a few that we know of, but there's so many languages and sub-languages under our languages. There's a lot of richness in culture and language here on the continent. How is giving airtime to a particular language, bringing forth its people, bringing forth its traditions, and its culture? Why is that important to give minority languages airtime?
I think that it is very important because it gives the speakers of that language a sense of belonging in South Africa. In South Africa, where we say that we've got 12 official languages that are supposed to be equal. So once we begin to give some of the marginalized languages, I'll give an example of Xitsonga, for instance. Isindebele, for instance, Siswati, for instance, and Setswana, you have very few dedicated dramas or soaps that are in these languages. And in the media space, if you talk in the context of media, that is one form of marginalization. You are denying these people a sense of belonging. You are saying to them, it is only important to see Xhosa shows, it is important to see isiZulu shows at the expense of these people. And at times you use money to say that it's money that is at the center. I think that we need a revolution, a linguistic revolution, that we should be able to say if all languages are equal, they must all be given enough airtime and equal airtime for the sake of its people and for the sake of the preservation of those languages.
Yeah, that's so powerful. And earlier on, you made an example just before the break around airtime. You were speaking about certain languages and where the news are placed of those languages. People are still not at home to see those bulletins, maybe. Your thoughts around where we position also these languages, because I think there's an opportunity here whereby you can place a minority language in a very popular slot, because you know that another show would work just because it is the dominating language, so you can put it on a different slot. I don't think we experiment enough when it comes to where we place these wonderful minority languages in our programming.
Actually, one of our panelists yesterday, Councillor Karabo Mohale from ICASA, made an example of exactly what you are talking about and said that there's actually no need to give people slots. And she made an example that English and Afrikaans news play throughout the day, and there's no problem about that. But this is the same news that could play in other languages. It's just a matter of slotting them. So I think, we're denying these people an opportunity to get to get news in their language when it's just a matter of, being able to give them that slot. So it is doable. It is just a matter of somebody sitting somewhere and saying, no, we are not going to do it. Lastly, Kiswahili was a very minor language, and its people decided to develop it. What we see as Kiswahili today was actually a very minor language. And they did exactly what you said. To say, instead of going for the bigger languages, well-known languages, let us take this small one and develop it and promote it. Look at where Kiswahili is today. I think Tshivenda, Xitsonga, Sindebele, Siswati are such languages that we must focus on. isiZulu and isiXhosa and Sesotho are well developed now. Let us pay attention to the smaller languages in the South African context.
Well, it's definitely incredible indeed. And it sounds like what we really have to explore, especially as the media ourselves, not to also continue to play a role in the marginalization of these languages. I think another thing, just before we wrap up, another thing that was beautiful about this Mubango series is that not only did it focus on its own language, but as it evolved, it started bringing in other minority languages. And it seems like there was almost like a holding together of minority languages to display them on that slot that, we had for one language, but that could bring in other marginalized languages. That's something that we should be looking into when we do find a way to bring in and showcase a marginalized language, to bring in the other marginalized languages as well, as a part of that particular display and education.
I think that is very important. It's what I would call ethnic tolerance or linguistic tolerance, which is very important in South Africa, looking at the diversity that we have in the context of languages, where we must be able to display how our languages could coexist. And I can speak my isiXhosa and somebody speak their isiZulu and somebody speak their Chivenda, but we can still coexist because all these languages should not create an impression that we are different. We're all Africans. And the fact that I speak a different language from you does not mean we cannot coexist.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we'll leave it at that. Thank you so much for engaging us in this conversation, Dr. Yanga Majola. It was a pleasure to have you.
Thank you so much.
That is Social Linguistic and Academic Manager for the Faculty of Humanities at the Tswana University of Technology here in South Africa, Dr. Yanga Majola, speaking about the challenges that linguistic marginalization bring forth, but how media like TV can actually help to bring those languages and cultures to the forefront. It's 10:30 Central Africa time. Let's bring back Figilele Ngwadi for our latest news update. That's sports.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
We kick off with the rugby news. The Springboks can regain the number one world ranking just 7 days after losing it. Rassie Erasmus' men dropped from first to third after last weekend's shock 38-22 loss to the Wallabies at Ellis Park, with Ireland moving up to second and the All Blacks reclaiming top spot. According to World Rugby's ranking permutations, the Boks now have a chance to bounce straight back to number one, but they will need help. The world champions must beat the Wallabies in Cape Town on Saturday and hope Argentina stun the All Blacks in Buenos Aires by more than 15 points. If that happens, South Africa and New Zealand will swap places. The University of Philippines, UP community, has been thrown into mourning following the sudden death of their Nigerian basketball player Israel Osamodiame on Friday. In an official statement released and published on the Filipino outlet Spin PH, Bo Parasol, director of the UP Office for Athletics and Sports Development, confirmed the heartbreaking news. As reported across outlets in the Philippines, the talented young star collapsed during a team practice session on Tuesday. The 19-year-old, who would have turned 20 on the 6th of September, was one of the UP's newest recruits for the Fighting Maroons. Friday, a towering 6'10" forward from Abuja, Nigeria, had only recently joined the Fighting Maroons after transferring from Centro Escolar University CEU, where he starred for the Scorpions in the University of and Colleges Athletics League. The exact cause of his death has not yet been determined as medical authorities continue their examination. 2027 Cricket World Cup Local Organizing Committee Board Chairperson Trevor Manuel has urged the members to make sure the event is a memorable experience for everyone. Cricket South Africa announced a 15-member board, including 6 independent non-executive directors, 5 non-independent non-executive directors, and 3 ex-officio members. South Africa will host the bulk of the matches, while Zimbabwe and Namibia will also come in on a bit of a cameo role. Manuel says every sector has to work together to make this success.
The success of the Cricket World Cup will largely be because the national government can bring all 3 spheres of government into play. It's fundamentally important because if you don't have the Transport Ministry involved, you don't have airports that function, you leave bad experiences for those who come and visit the country. If you don't have our police service properly engaged, our tourists are going to have very bad experiences.
On to tennis news. Serbian Novak Djokovic hopes a selective approach to his scheduling will give him the best chance to win the US Open in his unrelenting pursuit of a record 25th Grand Slam. A 38-year-old Djokovic has not played since a comprehensive semi-final defeat by Jannik Sinner at Wimbledon last month, skipping the two main US Open warm-up events in Toronto and Cincinnati. For any sports stories you'd like to share with us, please do send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +2711 714 4459. This is Channel Africa Sport with me, Figile Ngwati.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African Perspective. Africa Update on Channel Africa with Lulu Gabu.
Protesters in Ghana have accused the country's president of violating the constitution and interfering in the independence of the judiciary. Eric Mawena Egbeta, the opposition protesters calling for the reinstatement of Tokonu.
The presidency and the president and all of its spokespersons around the seat of government have had one narrative and one narrative only, that no constitutional breaches have occurred in the process up until now, which has resulted in the suspension of the Chief Justice. In fact, it does appear the government has already communicated to these protesters that we're not interested in having the Chief Justice return and fill her position until the determination of the matter. We believe that she must remain suspended for the investigations to take place, after which the final determination will inform whether or not she returns.
Africa Update with Lulu Gabu, 12 to 1 p.m. Central African Time.
Once again, let's keep things moving. This is our latest in business news.
Business News on Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
Good morning, I'm Nosipo Zuma. In your business news this hour, the South African Democratic Teachers Union, SADU, has criticized the Basic Education Department for failing to implement recommendations made in 2014 by a task team headed by Professor John Volmink on claims of ghost workers in public schools. SADU has welcomed the Education Labour Relations Council, ELRC's appointment to conduct the physical verification of educators and pupils in schools across all 9 provinces to address these allegations. SADU spokesperson Nomusa Qembi says they are pinning their hopes on ELRC to root out this corruption that has been troubling the sector for a long time.
We haven't taken that long to have this matter addressed. In 2014, there was a ministerial task team that was set up, headed by Professor Volmink. And as such, we testified before that Volmink Commission. The recommendations were made, but we do not know why the department has not done much to implement the recommendations from that. We believe that because the ELRC is the one tasked with doing this and not government officials who are already in the system who do proper verification.
South Africa's Goldfields has raised its interim dividends as first half profit more than tripled from a year earlier, mainly driven by higher bullion prices and increased output. Goldfields' headline earnings rose to $1.027 billion in the 6 months to the 30th of June, compared with $320.7 million in the same period last year. The company declared an interim dividend of $0.3948 per share, up from $0.16942 per share in the first half of 2024. The Johannesburg-based miners' gold production rose 24% to 1.136 million ounces in the first half. South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa, holding bilateral talks with the Japanese Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba, says South Africa is open for trade with countries willing to invest here. He met Ishiba on the margins of Tokyo International Conference on African Development. President Ramaphosa is advancing South Africa's presidency of the G20 and enhancing bilateral economic engagements with the government of Japan, with a view to strengthening trade and investment ties between South Africa and Japan. He says South Africa welcomes anyone who invests in the country.
Japan has been in South Africa and investing in South Africa for years. And China has been our friend as well and is also investing. And we welcome both because both are beneficial to us. And we will never say, no, we love you better than we love the other one. We embrace both, and both must invest and deal with us to the extent that they can.
Elon Musk and his social media firm X have reached a tentative settlement with former employees who had sued for $500 million in severance pay. The parties have reported the deal in a court filing on Wednesday, jointly requesting the U.S. Appeals Court in San Francisco to postpone an upcoming hearing to allow time to settle the paperwork. Some workers sued the company over their terminations and severance packages after some 6,000 staff, more than half of its workforce, were sacked as part of a cost-cutting measure after Musk took over the company in 2022. And finally, oil prices are a little changed today but are on track to snap a 2-week losing streak as hope for immediate peace between Russia and Ukraine deemed increasing the risk premium demand by oil sellers. Brent crude futures were down 4 US cents to $67.63 US a barrel, while West Texas Intermediate WTI crude futures fell 1 cent to $63.51. Both contracts climbed more than 1% in the prior session. Brent has risen 2.7% this week, while the WTI has gained 1.1%. Your financial indicators: $1 US in Nigeria is trading at 1,000 naira 534, and Botswana is 13 pula 39. Kenya, the dollar is trading at 128 shilling 32, and in Zambia is 23 kwacha 29. The BRICS countries: $1 in Brazil is trading at 5 ruble 48. Russia is 80 rubles 48. India is 87 rupees or 4, in China it's 7 yuan 18, and South Africa $1 is trading at 17 rand 68. $1 is trading at 74 pence to the British pound and 85 to the euro. Looking at commodities, gold is trading at $3,333 and platinum at $1,344 per ounce. The price of Brent crude oil is at $67.59 a barrel. Now, for any business news stories you would like to share with us, please send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +27 11 714 4459. For Channel Africa Business, I'm Nusipho Zuma.
Business news on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
Se é um artista em exceção que procura mostrar a sua música a um público mais vasto, ou apenas procura promover a sua música na rádio, podemos ajudá-lo a aumentar as suas hipóteses de sucesso. Envie sua música para music@channelafrica.co.za. Para tal, precisamos das seguintes informações: rótulo, código ISRC, título, artista, compositor, editor, autor, linguagem, gênero. 3. Escute sua música, trilha sonora da nossa rádio, perfeita para melhorar o seu dia. Com Channel África e a sua música, você nunca ficará entediado. Experimente o melhor da música africana na perspectiva africana.
Benjamin Moshatama and Palesa on the move.
Yeah, jiggy jiggy, heavy heavy. All the girls love me, oh like money. Call me jiggy jiggy, heavy heavy. All eyes on me. Machiavelli, girl you got me spitting, yeah yeah. Doing 240 on Lecky Ekpe. With the top down, no do gra gra. You been drinking and the dirty money stinking. Girl you got me spitting, yeah yeah. Doing 240 on Lecky Ekpe. With the top down, all the shit bio bio. Hey da da, no do gra gra, no do. You know they call me fella in Versace, fella in on the shot, finish shot, call again, bodyguard. You want more like Oliver. Big shot, superstar, on the shot, finish shot, like two Baba. Ready, set, don't bruise my heart, delicate. I saw you standing there. Is the flashing lights gonna make me lose my way? Mail, this a baby, yeah. Benny's in the 18 every year. All my G's in the every year. I'm number one in the million. Yeah, like a fish and chips. From the north to the southwest and east, South Africa. Yeah, tada. She gon' blow my cheeks. Fella in Versace. Mandela in a Rari. Rubber bands, where you get them from? Motherland, M-Sons. Yeah, jiggy jiggy, heavy. All the girls love me, oh, like money. Call me jiggy jiggy, heavy. All eyes on me. Machiavelli, girl, you got me spitting, yeah. Doing 240 on Lecky Ekbe. With it top down, no do, gra. You be drinking and the dirty money stinking. Girl, you got me spitting, yeah. Doing 240 on Lecky Ekbe. With it top down, all the shape, yo. Hey, da, no do, gra, no do. You know they call me Fella in Versace. Fella in Versace. Fella in Versace, yeah. Fella in Versace. Fella in Versace. Fella in Versace, yeah. Ooh, nana, don't stress. I'm just looking out for your breasties. Me and this squad been besties. Tell me which blood clot boy won't test me, cause I came a long way. Now I'm flexing, I can tell you watch fake, like wrestling. I'm a smooth criminal. Took her to the mall, up a ball like Lionel. Sexy, she call me Olga. FC Barcelona. Timepiece like pneumonia. Sweet melanin, Coca-Cola. Big shot, superstar. On the shot, finish shot. Call again, bodyguard. You want more like Oliver. Big shot, superstar. On the shot, finish shot. Like two Baba. Ready, set, don't bruise my heart, delicate. Fella in Versace. Mandela in a Rari. Rubber bands, where you get them from? Motherland, M-Sons. Jiggy jiggy, heavy. All the girls love me, oh, like money. Call me jiggy jiggy, heavy. All eyes on me. Machiavelli, girl, you got me spitting, yeah. Doing 240 on Lecky Ekbe. With it top down, no do, gra. You be drinking and the dirty money stinking. Girl, you got me spitting, yeah. Doing 240 on Lecky Ekbe. With it top down, all the shape, yo. Hey, da, no do, gra, no do. You know they call me Fella in Versace. Fella in Versace. Fella in Versace, yeah.
Hey man, that's the late AKA.
Hey, good weekend.
Yes.
Is your Versace ready?
I don't have any Versace, unfortunately. I'll just take the Fela. I don't know what that is, but Versace, I don't have any.
Fela is the musician.
AKA featuring Kid Dominant. Fela in Versace is the name of that one right here on Channel Africa. We're in the Friday mood and we're getting ready for our final hour conversation with Steve Dyer, who's going to be joining us in our studio.
Yeah, one of those wonderful musicians that have made a huge impact in the development of South African jazz music. And he's also imparted a lot of just transfer of his love for the music, but also transferred that love to the next generation. A wonderful artist that's going to come in, actually.
Yeah, absolutely. So let us know what you think of that one. You'll be able to see them in our live stream. If they're going to be here in the studio, you're going to miss out if you just want to listen on audio. So definitely make it an audio visual experience. Join our live stream on YouTube. We are at Channel Africa 1. Join our live stream as well on our Facebook page. Just go there, search Channel Africa. You'll find us there. There's so much content of throughout the day for the different shows here on our social media platforms, but click on that live circle so that you'll be able to see Steve Dyer in our studio, engage and ask questions and comment and let us know where you are listening to us from.
Call us on +27 63 406 9126.
I can see my whole world changing.
And contribute to the conversation.
Parlez-vous couramment le français? Êtes-vous passionné par la radio? Et êtes-vous qualifié pour travailler en Afrique du Sud? Envoyez-nous votre CV et votre 3 minutes démo en MP3 à @channelafrica.co.za pour avoir une chance de rejoindre la famille Channel Africa. Si vous n'avez pas de réponse après 14 jours, cela signifie que vous n'avez pas été retenu. Channel Africa, la perspective africaine.
The KwaZulu-Natal Convention Bureau, in collaboration with Milvest Advisory and the city of Moshatama, bring you the 2025 Tourism Investment Forum Africa. As a global platform for local action, the Tourism Investment Africa aims to promote the secondary and tertiary cities and regions as attractive investment and tourism hubs. Be part of the movement transforming tourism in Africa. Join us for the TIFA 2025 from August 27 to 29 at Tembela Venue, Richards Bay, KZN, South Africa.
We are up, we are ready, we are on the move with Palesa and Benjamin Moshatama
on Channel Africa.
Campaign Tropicana. Me, I don't I them take the marijuana. Joanna, Juba, di Biomogana. Onjo, Omlando, for me, Moyagbe, Los Goda. Nigga, even nigga think I give up for. Me, I done the streets since when them sing on Guazo. Apala no be so, see my team, them no be feeder. Premier League is not UEFA, small body. When you show to power, Oja Desita, and no shade to Rella, Amigo Zilla, Maradona, Yulo Cuchella, Emanuela,
Start your day right with Channel Africa Breakfast.
That smells delicious.
Live, 5 days a week.
Confession, 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 started as a one-man squad. Panic on jelly rich money front. Any day goes up by shot. I wanna do this shit all night longer. The plan not to chop lock up. My God, it don't begin to python. The way she they treat it, my fuck up. I know I see doctor. See, I got a confession. I got a confession. I got a confession. I got a confession. I wanna tell you my confession. You don't know to be my obsession. This thing you do Shawty gon' show me the mathematics. I don't know why I be acting like this. I be you giving me hearty-righty, so yeah. I just wanna know if you love me back. I don't want you loving another guy. After the first and the other time, I lost my mind. I know if you sleep for 90. I got a confession. I got a confession. I got a confession. I got a confession. I wanna tell you my confession. You don't know you be my obsession. This thing you do me not the mention. Don't you see that I am all messed up? Yeah, yeah. Confession. 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 Listen to my confession. No. Listen to my confession. No. Yeah, yeah. Confession.
This is Omalay. Confession is the name of this one. Before that, gave you Juha by Asake. It's 10:55 Central Africa time. Very exciting time as we're about to have Steve Dyer in our studio just in a couple of minutes. So I'm very excited about that.
Yeah, we're looking forward to have the saxophonist and, he is also the father of a wonderful young man by the name of Bokani Dyer.
Yeah.
And a wonderful pianist that we have here in Johannesburg, South Africa.
So definitely that music is in the bloodstream.
Yeah.
It was in the bloodstream of his parents as well, and off to his offspring now, who's also doing incredible in the jazz scene here in South Africa. So we're going to be bringing in Steve Dyer in studio, have a great conversation, I think, about music in different eras, because he's experienced so many different musical eras throughout his time, both in South Africa and the world over with his travels. So I'm excited to hear like real stories, old stories, new stories, and how he sees the future.
You're right about that. He is an export of South African culture, and there's always that African rhythm that is embedded in his music. He never leaves that behind.
So let us know. He's going to join us on our live stream. So before you go anywhere, I urge you have to be a part of our live stream, because you'll be able to see our guests in the studio, and of course you'll be able to interact live. So you'll be able to ask Steve Dyer any questions that you have on that live stream. You get to let us know where you're tuned in from and interact live on the conversations at Channel Africa 1. Find us there on YouTube and Channel Africa on Facebook. But you can also comment on our other social media platforms, Instagram, TikTok, X, and the likes, but also our WhatsApp number, +27 63406 9126.
Remember, we have so many conversations that happen here during the week, so you can always reflect back on our website and check out what we spoke about during the week, some of the key conversations. If you're like, Ben, I'm joining on Friday, yay, I missed out during the week, you can still catch up on our website on www.channelafrica.co.za. Click on programs, it will take you to our podcast.
Ben, I know you're a jazz head. Do you have any favorite music from Steve Dyer?
I love his, I think there's an album he did called Confessions. The whole thing is beautiful.
Oh, that's nice. Okay, maybe I'll have a listen to that. You hold my hand through this one as the jazz hand, as the jazz head of our Channel Africa, of our On The Move family.
I'm telling you, you are listening to a lot of jazz these days. I
am,
know.
yes.
So things have changed in your life, and it's not because of me. So yeah, I know you listen to a lot of jazz.
Look, I have listened to a lot of jazz before, but there's a difference between my jazz and you as a jazz head. So I think it's a different thing altogether. But yeah, I love the fact that Ben is a jazz head, and you get to see some of his excitement around the music and the culture that's all embedded in it. 10:58 Central Africa time. Let's take a quick break before we go on to our news update.
Download the SABC app and take Channel Africa with you everywhere you go.
If a girl worry me, I delete her. Put her inside the bin bag. So why won't she be beat her? She ordered a good man, but she got a bad man. She not feel live without, so pregnancy is not for me. Tread carefully, rationally. No try put me for trouble, girl. She asking, boy, what are we? We better be what we have been. No stress me, no fast forward me. She want tackle me with a dream bull tete. And I dey boy like JJ. I dey play home and away.
Hey man, that's Ruga with one titled JJ. It takes us to 1100 hours Central African time. Jolan is standing by with the latest news.
SABC News. The African Perspective.
Thank you, Benjamin. Top stories this hour, a report detailing Eswatini's human rights violations, and Israel continues its bombing of Gaza City. Good morning. The Human Rights Measurement Initiative says Eswatini's human rights is a reflection of a deeply constrained civic movement. The data is contained in a report released by the initiative on Eswatini, painting a sobering picture of the country's human rights landscape. East and Southern Africa engagement lead at the Human Rights Measurement Initiative, Nkosi Sibanda, says citizens are not safe from the state. The report highlights widespread restrictions on freedom of expression, assembly, and political participation, alongside deep socio-economic inequalities that continue to affect vulnerable groups. Sibanda elaborates.
You'll notice that the score on economic and social rights really reflects the deep-seated inequalities that exist in Eswatini. And the more urgent need is particularly in the right to work and the right to housing. Eswatini is one of the lowest scoring countries again when it comes to the right to work. And also the right to food. Actually, all the scores that we track, none of those scores fall under even the fair range of our scores. They all fall between either the bad or the very bad range of our scores.
Anti-illegal immigrants group March and March has called on the Southern Africa Refugee Organizations Forum to disclose its sources of funding. The group accused SAROF of terrorism and plotting to make South Africa ungovernable. The Durban High Court struck off the roll an urgent application brought by the SAROF against government ministers related to the ongoing blockade of public healthcare facilities targeting illegal foreign nationals. March and March legal advisor Xolani Zuma described the forum's application as an abuse of the court process.
If they had issues with members of the March and March movement trying to protect and vindicate the rights of the innocent citizens of this country, they would have gone to open a case with the police. No case has been opened with the police. They had actually taken wrong respondents to court. So it was in fact misplaced and an abuse of court process, and it must actually be condemned. We don't know today how many mercenaries do we have in our country. We don't know how many people are training in our country to overthrow this government and take over. And this is a cause for concern, because these people are not here because they are running away from their countries because there's a war. They are coming here to abuse our system.
Thousands of members and supporters of Tunisia's powerful Tunisian General Labour Union held protests in the capital Tunis of what they called a decline in union rights and civic freedoms. It was one of the largest political demonstrations Tunisia has recently seen and comes amid a deepening standoff between the Labour Union and President Kais Saied. Last month, the union strike over wages and working conditions disrupted transport services across the country and piled pressure on Saied to deal with a deepening economic crisis. Traditional leaders in South Africa have called on politicians to stop interfering in the affairs of the royal families for their own selfish interest. This came out at the end of the 3-day traditional leaders Imbizo in Boksburg in the east of Johannesburg yesterday. Earlier, politicians from the ANC, EFF, MK Party and Action SA were called in to address the gathering. This followed concerns that some politicians in the Free State and Northwest provinces are too involved in the succession battles of some royal families. Chairperson of the National House of Traditional and Khoi Leaders, Kgosi Thabo Siothlolo, says minerals in rural areas must benefit communities and not politicians.
We have directly engaged politicians and those in government to say issues of royalty are sensitive and sacred. We should not be seeing politicians or even senior officials for that matter wanting to interfere on who should be and who should not be. It's the duty of the royal family to appoint the right person. Whether the business or there's mining there, they should refrain from coming to want to interfere on putting a person they know they will easily corrupt so that they can take whatever they want from the community without having to give a share that is due to the community.
Israel has continued its bombing of Gaza City overnight as Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu approved plans to take over the city. The new assault will displace hundreds of thousands of people. The BBC's Yolandi Now reports.
The Israeli military is keeping up pressure on Gaza City. The UN says that recent relentless bombardment in the east and south has caused high numbers of civilian casualties and large-scale destruction. Now the Israeli military says it's told doctors and aid workers to start making evacuation arrangements ahead of its expanded military offensive.
Recapping the top story this hour, the Human Rights Measurement Initiative says Eswatini's human rights is a reflection of a deeply constrained civic environment. For any news stories you would like to share with us, please do send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +27 11 714 4459. For Channel Africa News, I'm Jolani Tulo-Webe.
SABC News. The African Perspective.
It's 6 minutes past 11 Central Africa time. It's the third hour of On the Move right here on Channel Africa with me, Palesa and Benjamin Moshatama. We are in hour 3 of 3 and it's a beautiful Friday indeed. And you know we focus on the music in this hour of the show where we profile an incredible artist of the African continent. And today is no different and it's even more incredible than usual. We're bringing into our studios really legendary artist here in South Africa and someone who really has graced the sound and the presence of us as Africa all across the world. That's South African saxophonist, flautist, composer and cultural activist Steve Dyer, who's getting ready to walk in our studios just in a couple of minutes to hang out with us. So definitely something big to look forward to.
Hey, it's a Music Friday, so we're looking forward to the beautiful music of the continent. Steve Dyer, wonderful saxophonist, is going to hang out with us and always has a print of African vibrations in his music. So we're looking forward to that. Any questions for Steve? Let us know on our WhatsApp number +2763 406 9126. Text us or voice note us there. Or remember, you can still chat with us on our live streams.
Channel Africa and you have got something in common. The thirst for knowledge. Benjamin Moshatama.
Shake your back, they shake your back. Of your leg, no got it, lose got it legally. Oh, never know, but you know, something that's all it be. I be. Better dance, better dance. Bon appétit, c'est mes messi. À mes paris, rocky malafi. Champs-Élysées, juste de Lamborghini. Ton côté body, la nefatiti. She very mighty with the bagassi. On a this baby, on a batisi. I should want to tell me if it not be me. Baby, dance, kelebede dance, kelebede dance, kelebede dance, kelebede dance.
It's a lot of energy indeed. This is Rema with Kelebu right here on Channel Africa, giving you that African perspective. 10 past 11 Central Africa time. And of course, like we promised, Steve Dyer will be. In fact, he's already in our studios. So that interview is coming up in a bit.
Start your day right with Channel Africa Breakfast.
That smells delicious.
Live, 5 days a week. Got something to say? Are you passionate about issues that matter? Do you have a voice that deserves to be heard? Well, we've got the perfect platform for you. Call in or drop us a WhatsApp on +27 63 406 9126 and we will call you back so you could have your say and be part of the conversation.
30 years of age. I just turned 30 on the 15th of November. So yeah, that's who I am, you know.
It's not just talk, it's your chance to air your views, share your opinion, engage with a community that values your perspective. Follow us on our social media. Visit our website at www.channelafrica.co.za and get ready to share your views on Channel Africa, the African perspective. Palesa and Benjamin, fuel your day with fresh African perspective on Channel Africa.
We start this one in an incredible way. Steve Dyer, this is Heartland. And if that's got your soul moving, we're about to have a very soul-moving conversation because we are joined this morning on the Move with Steve Dyer in studio. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you. Thanks for having me here.
How are you doing?
I'm okay, yeah. Sun is shining today, right?
Yes.
Fantastic, D. Steve, it's great having you in the studio. I feel like we are going to transcend different eras of the jazz discography with you in South Africa because you've kind of experienced multiple eras of the South African jazz scene. So thank you for coming to our studios.
Are you commenting on my age?
Maybe on your musicality.
Okay. Yeah, all right.
Let's talk a little bit about Steve Dyer. How did you pick up an instrument? I think at times we love the final product. We love hearing you on an album and how it sounds. But when you got that inspiration to pick up that horn, when was the first time that you discovered that, you know what, this is something that's going to be precious and it's going to be something close to me for many, many years?
At school, at junior school, I sang in a choir.
You sang?
Yeah, I sang in the choir, and that was when I was about 8, 9. And I've loved music ever since. So I've been blessed in the sense that I never thought, okay, what am I going to do with my life? And so after junior school, I went to high school at Michael House. And there I saw in the curriculum that they had music as a subject.
Wonderful.
And then I said to them, I want to do music. And they said, look, in the however 70 years that we've been in existence, there's been one person that's done music. So I said, okay, I'll be the second. And then I started, and so I had to look for an instrument and a teacher. And the teacher that I found played recorder.
Okay.
So I started off on recorder, and then I finished school, and then I went to university, and I was still playing recorder. And I started off my music degree playing recorder and cello.
Oh, wow.
And halfway through it, I said, no, man, saxophone and flute. And so I changed my instruments, and the horn has been with me ever since. In fact, the horn that I play, it's like... it's very old now.
How many years do you think?
Like 40-something years
wow.
old. Yeah.
Okay. And did you buy it or did you get it passed on to you? What happened with that horn?
No, my parents saw the interest, and they managed to buy it for me.
All right, let's not reveal your age.
But speaking about your parents, it really does speak about like the generational nature of music in your life from before and obviously into the future as well, because your parents also really loved music. You were in an environment where music was quite rich, and you could also pick up on a lot of elements of music in your surrounding areas. Speak to us a little bit about that time in your life when you were younger and how you were interacting with the music.
Well, my father used to listen, my father especially, and my mother as well, they used to listen to the Western classical masters like Bach, Mozart, Brahms, Tchaikovsky, Mahler.
Okay.
My father was a big fan of Mahler.
Okay,
I don't know if you know his works. Yeah, it's like he did grand orchestral works with over 100 people in an orchestra. Anyway, so at that time, I also had a woman that was working for us, a domestic worker, and so I used to hear the Soul Brothers coming from that side of
the house.
Of the house. So it was like this colliding of different influences that has remained with me ever since. So I'm still colliding these things and trying to work out something that reflects my life as an Anglo-African.
I feel like your domestic worker is the dominant one here.
Well, I suppose so, because we had challenges in terms of identity that we still do in this country.
Sure.
And so my mother was an activist. She was in the Black Sash. She was in she did adult literacy classes, so she was really my moral compass. And so I was always very aware of the problems within the apartheid system. And she never said, she always said to me, she always guided me, because I used to come home from school with some, clouded and dirty thoughts that were the order of the day then. And she used to set me right. And so I was very clear that, look, I'm an African of a special type, but an African nonetheless.
Yes.
And when I left the country, that was in 1982, I went to Botswana, and at that time Ntate Jonas Gwangwa was there.
Okay.
And soon after that, Brahu Masekela came to town. So then I was schooled in Marabi, really.
Oh,
And
wow.
before that, I remember at high school, I'd gone to a dollar brand at that time, Abdullah Ibrahim concert. And so I was aware. And then my brother-in-law was very involved with jazz music. He was a journalist writing about the music.
Wow.
And he used to take me up to Michael House and back again. And he used to school me in a whole lot of different groups like Weather Report and Charles Mingus, all of these jazz people, Miles Davis, John Coltrane. So I became aware of them at that kind of time.
Yeah, that's a multi-hued array of influence, right? That's coming at a young man at the same time.
It is.
But you were able to distill that and formulate your own identity in that. And we'll speak a little bit about that after the break, because I think you've done that very well. You can hear a Steve Dyer tune from very, very far around the corner. You can like, no, that's Steve Dyer. So we'll chat a little bit about how you were able to distill all those influences and create your own sound. It's 20 minutes past 11 o'clock Central African time with Steve Dyer.
We are on Open Views Audio Bouquet. Channel 628. AUSISA, the Association of Water and Sanitation Institution of South Africa, is a platform uniting Africa's water professionals. This November, Africa leads the conversation on water and sanitation. Join global and African leaders at the AUSISA Africa and Global South Dialogue 2025 from the 9th till the 12th of November at the Emperor's Palace, Johannesburg. From policy innovation, this is where action meets collaboration for a water-secure future. Register today at ausisa-watersan-dialogue.org or follow at AUSISA on social media. AUSISA, working together for sustainable water and sanitation security in Africa. Step into the heart of the day on the move with Palesa and Benjamin.
Hey, we're speaking to award-winning Steve Dyer, South African pride, definitely. Broke so many of the conventions of what we thought were the limitations of what reflected South African jazz music. He's a white guy, like, hey, he's playing jazz at a very kind of early time and period. And what makes Steve Dyer actually someone who is distinct for me is that he wasn't only just paving his own way throughout his career. I feel like your career has always been cemented by collaborating, creating groups. Also, I feel like now you're also in an era that gives to the next generation of jazz musicians. Let's talk a little bit about that nature of yours to collaborate. I mean, you've always worked in band formations and supergroups in a way, because I've never seen you play in a trio or something like that. You usually play in kind of like plus 4, 5 bands, and even more, I think, in how your sound is actually. I feel like you're a group musician. You love that group dynamic. Tell us a little bit about how you found yourself working in groups, and also how that also has defined your way of expressing yourself.
I think if you look at the Marabi tradition and the traditions of Southern African music, or South African, it often involves big groups, because there's vocals, there's horns, there's a whole lot of elements coming on. And for me, African music, often it's defined by the interplay of the music. And often in like traditional jazz from the US, the rhythm section will lay down a bed, and then a soloist will improvise on top. And what interests me is the interplay of the instruments, almost like a conversation between a group of people. And Africa by its nature is communal. And hence, yes, there are elements that I've explored in terms of getting those different sounds together. And there I go again to the kind of influence that I got when I was in Botswana, because there was really heavy times, and very musical times. But there was also a low-intensity war going on. And so the music always had a social message for me. But at the same time as playing the Marabi, I was also listening to John Coltrane. I was listening to Charlie Parker. I was saying, okay, the Marabi's there, but what next? What now? And that meant me really working on the horn.
Yes.
And so to the point now where maybe you'll hear me playing more in quartet situations as well as duo situations. So and also it's a economic thing where things are not so easy now in terms of being able to tour with big bands. The problems with musicians earning now, you can't sell CDs and earn a whole lot now. People are streaming. No matter how many streams you get, you're not going to get a lot of money. So I think economic factors also play a role in the fact that often now people are turning towards stripped down music. But my feeling is that if you play a track with 13 people on stage, you should also be able to play it with two people on stage.
And let's speak about that, because that speaks into your adaptability. For someone who started music at a very different era, you've been through various eras, and you've seen, the record era, and then we went into the CD era, the cassettes, and now the streaming. But it doesn't just speak to how we're selling and consuming music, but also how people have changed how they consume music. And throughout those different eras, how do you make sure that your sound continues to be adaptable and for that era? Because no matter how authentic we want to be, we still have to grasp the audiences of the time.
Our generation has betrayed yours. So we had dreams when we were fighting against apartheid about how life could be. And now we're in a situation where a lot of those dreams have been dashed. And so for me the hope is in the young, is in young people. Now I've got kids, and I run a studio, and at that studio there are a lot of the young voices coming through, as well as my son Bokani is doing very well in music.
We're about to speak about your son.
Okay.
Let's focus on you now.
Sure. But because of the studio setup and everyone coming in there, like, there's CM Tembu that'll come in from The Brother Moves On. There'll be other, Sia Makuzeni maybe will be coming through.
Sakile
Muleshe, there'll be Shane Cooper. There'll be a whole lot of artists, Titi Luzipo, all of them. And then, our studio is kind of like a home where it's more than just a studio, but there's an exchange. And so I learn from the younger generation, and I hope they learn from me. I think they do, because they they pretend to respect what I'm saying in conversation. And I don't want to be yesterday's man. I'm always looking forward to how new things can develop. So I recognize that, one of the success stories in the new South Africa is the way that the young musicians have come up. Because I remember, like 20 years ago, I recorded Son of the Soil. And conceptually, it was very hard for me to find musicians that could tap into that and execute. But now you look at the young musicians, like drummers, bass players. They're looking all over. They can play rhythms from all over Africa as well as from further afield. So we're becoming a more globalized village, and I don't want to become a grumpy old man.
And that's the thing. It really does prove that you're not yesterday's man, because even in today's world, you continue to win awards and, hold on to the crown. Let's speak about some of your recent awards, the South African Music Awards. You're still being seen as someone who is competitive in today's environment.
Yes, well, let's look at the word competitive or competition. That comes from the word competere, or the phrase in Latin, which means to seek together. So, I think I had 6 nominations before I got this award in 2024.
Sure.
And I'm happy for the validation, and yes, it's good that no, it's not Steve Dyer from 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I always find that I'm continually composing, I'm continually working. It's just in my nature. But I think we must look at competition in a healthy way, and not look on it as something that it's me against you, especially in a creative space.
Exactly.
Because, in as much as I made that music, I made it with other people. They all contributed their voices to the thing. And so it's a collective thing that we mustn't get into this thing of, a competition and dog eat dog kind of world. That's
Absolutely.
what we don't want.
Yeah, we're speaking to Steve Dyer. We're going to go to take a bit of a break, and we'll speak a little bit about your world of composition, because I know you live in that world very much so. Because at times, most of the time, we hear, as I said earlier, on the final product. But I'm sure composition is constant. It's happening in the background. It's happening with others. It's happening when you by yourself. And also the next generation, what do you think is going on right now in the music? Because jazz is actually one of those things that we've transferred to the next generation, and they're holding it preciously and doing some wonderful work there. But right now, let's quickly move on and let's get our sports update. It's 11:30 Central African time.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
In our sports update, we kick off with rugby news. The Springboks can regain their number one world ranking just 7 days after losing it. Rassie Erasmus's men dropped from first to third after last weekend's shock 38-22 loss to the Wallabies at Ellis Park, with Ireland moving up to second and the All Blacks reclaiming top spot. According to World Rugby's ranking permutations, the Boks now have a chance to bounce straight back to number one, but they'll need help. The world champions must beat the Wallabies in Cape Town on Saturday and hope Argentina stun the All Blacks in Buenos Aires by more than 15 points. If that happens, South Africa and New Zealand will swap places. Now, cricket news. 2027 Cricket World Cup Local Organizing Committee Board Chairperson Trevor Manuel has urged the members to make sure the event is a memorable experience for everyone. Cricket South Africa announced a 15-member board, including 6 independent non-executive directors, 5 non-independent non-executive directors, and 3 ex-officio members. South Africa will host the bulk of the matches, while Zimbabwe and Namibia will also come in on a bit of a cameo role. Manuel says every sector has to work together to make this a success.
The success of the Cricket World Cup will largely be because the national government can bring all 3 spheres of government into play. It's fundamentally important because if you don't have the Transport Ministry involved, you don't have airports that function, you leave bad experiences for those who come and visit the country. If you don't have our police service properly engaged, our tourists are going to have very bad experiences.
Representing the Namibian government, Deputy Minister for Youth and Sport, Dino Baloti, says the whole country is excited to play a role. He also announced that the infrastructure is about to be completed and will leave a lasting legacy for sport in that country.
And I'm so proud to announce that our brand new, I want to call it a world-class stadia, is going to be completed. And that facility, which also hosts Namibia's first high-performance center, is a result of us co-hosting the Cricket World Cup. And it's only with this event that we now can proudly host a world-class facility with a high-performance center that caters for many sport codes. And I think all Namibians are quite excited.
Let's tee off with golf news. Aston Arthur and Joandre Ludik will represent South Africa in 2 elite amateur golf events this November. First up is the Juan Carlos Tailhard Cup from the 6th to the 9th of November, where they'll aim to extend South Africa's streak of top 5 finishes. Then it's on to the Argentine Stroke Play Championship from the 12th to the 15th of November, with individual honors on the line. Arthur returns after last year's 4th place team finish, while Ludik makes his debut following a strong season in the Golf South Africa's rankings. Now, basketball news. Nigeria's senior men's basketball team, D Tigers, quest to emulate their ladies' crest last night as they lost 75-91 to Senegal in the quarterfinal of the 2025 Afro-Basket Championship in Luanda, Angola. The loss effectively put paid to their dream of also winning the championship and getting rewarded bountifully with thousands of dollars, houses, and national honors back home. And so, they will have to wait another 1 year before taking a shot at the continental title they have only won once in 2015. The drama of the earlier quarterfinals was Mali's 102-96 victory over Cote d'Ivoire, who had their hands on the semi-final ticket but lost it after overtime. The semi-final for the final ticket is Senegal against Mali. For any sports stories you'd like to share with us, please do send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +2711 714 4459. This is Channel Africa Sport with me, Fikile Lungwati.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
Vue d'Afrique avec Joël Mouteba.
Cette peur d'un point de non-retour nucléaire suffit-elle selon vous à légitimer une telle offensive, Monsieur Taladi?
Absolument pas du tout. Cela fait plus de 30 ans que l'Israël crie haut et fort sur les toits où il veut se faire entendre que l'Iran serait à 1 an pour obtenir l'arme nucléaire. Parfois, l'Iran serait à 6 mois. Parfois, l'Iran serait à 2 semaines pour obtenir son arme nucléaire. Et curieusement, jusqu'à ce jour, il n'y a toujours aucune preuve que l'Iran a obtenu cette arme nucléaire en dépit des déclarations d'Israël et de certaines puissances parfois.
Vue d'Afrique, du lundi au vendredi de 15h à 16h, temps universel.
All right, after that final sports bulletin with Fikile Lungwati, that's only for the morning. Let's bring back Nosipho Zuma for our latest in business.
Business news on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
Thank you, Palesa. Good morning. In your business news, the South African Democratic Teachers Union, SADTU, has criticized the Basic Education Department for failing to implement recommendations made in 2014 by a tasked team headed by Professor John Volmink on claims of ghost workers in public schools. SADTU has welcomed the Education Labour Relations Council, ELRC's appointment to conduct the physical verification of educators and pupils in schools across all 9 provinces to address these allegations. SADTU spokesperson Nomusa Qembi says they are pinning their hopes on ELRC to root out this corruption that has been troubling the sector for a long time.
We haven't taken that long to have this matter addressed. In 2014, there was a ministerial task team that was set up, headed by Professor Volmink. And as such, we testified before that Volmink Commission. The recommendations were made, but we do not know why the department has not done much to implement the recommendations from that. We believe that because the ELRC is the one tasked with doing this and not government officials who are already in the system who do proper verification.
South Africa's Goldfields has raised its interim dividends as first half profit more than tripled from a year earlier, mainly driven by higher bullion prices and increased output. Goldfields' headline earnings rose to $1.027 billion in the 6 months to the 30th of June, compared with $320.7 million in the same period last year. The company declared an interim dividend of $0.3948 per share, up from $0.16942 per share in the first half of 2024. The Johannesburg-based miners' gold production rose 24% to 1.136 million ounces in the first half. South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa is holding bilateral talks with the Japanese Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba says South Africa is open for trade with countries willing to invest here. He met Ishiba on the margins of Tokyo International Conference on African Development. Ramaphosa is advancing South Africa's presidency of the G20 and enhancing bilateral economic engagements with the government of Japan with a view to strengthening trade and investment ties between South Africa and Japan. He says South Africa welcomes anyone who invests in the country.
Japan has been in South Africa and investing in South Africa for years. And China has been our friend as well and is also investing. And we welcome both because both are beneficial to us. And we will never say, no, we love you better than we love the other one. We embrace both, and both must invest and deal with us to the extent that they can.
Elon Musk and his social media firm X have reached a tentative settlement with former employees who had sued for $500 million in severance pay. The parties have reported the deal in court filing on Wednesday, jointly requesting the U.S. Appeals Court in San Francisco to postpone an upcoming hearing to allow time to settle the paperwork. Some workers sued the company over their terminations and severance packages after some 6,000 staff, more than half of its workforce, were sacked as part of a cost-cutting measure after Musk took over the company in 2022. And finally, oil prices are a little changed today but are on track to snap a 2-week losing streak as hope for immediate peace between Russia and Ukraine deemed increasing the risk premium demand by oil sellers. Brent crude futures were down 4 US cents to $67.63 US a barrel, while West Texas Intermediate, which is the WTI crude futures, fell 1 cent to $63.51. Both contracts climbed more than 1% in the prior session. Brent has risen 2.7% this week, while the WTI has gained 1.1%. Your financial indicators: $1 US in Nigeria is trading at 1,000 naira 534. In Botswana is 13 pula 39. Kenya, the dollar is trading at 128 shilling 32, and in Zambia is 23 kwacha 29. The BRICS countries: $1 in Brazil is trading at 5 real 48. Russia is 80 rubles 48. India is 87 rupees or 4. In India, it's 7 yuan 18. And in South Africa, $1 is trading at 17 rand 68. $1 is trading at 74 pence to the British pound and 85 to the euro. Looking at commodities, gold is trading at $3,333 and platinum at $1,344 per ounce. The price of Brent crude oil is at $67.59 a barrel. Now, for any business news stories you would like to share with us, please send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +27 11 714 4459. For Channel Africa Business, I'm Nosipo Soma.
Business News on Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
Mix Vibration sur Channel Africa.
C'est notre invitée du jour, la belle Aïna Mwenze. Elle est là. Certaines l'appellent Boss Lady.
Bonjour, monsieur Jolino.
Parlez-nous un tout petit peu de vous.
Je m'appelle Boss Lady Aïna. Je mets l'accent sur le nom de Boss Lady parce que je mérite cela après le travail fait. Et c'est une rémunération en titre de la personne que je suis devenue aujourd'hui. Épouse et une mère de 4 garçons. Et voilà ce que je peux dire pour l'instant.
Et vous vous êtes lancé dans le business. Comment c'est venu?
En tant que mère et se retrouvant dans les pays étrangers, particulièrement en Afrique du Sud, je me disais que laisser les enfants sur la charge des travailleurs ou d'une bonne, ça serait pas très intéressant. Je me suis dit, bon, je dois essayer de m'organiser et trouver un emploi que je peux faire.
Mix Vibration, tous les dimanches de 18h à 19h, temps universel.
Hashtag on the move and connect with us.
It's a beautiful one, another beautiful one by Steve Dyer, Inyembezi, 11:45 Central Africa time. We continue with this incredible conversation we have with Steve in our studios this morning, and he's taking us through really a journey that he's been on. But obviously, I think most importantly is that he's still in the now. He's like here, and he functions like any other artist that's of this day, and also looks into the future in quite an aspiring way. Do you find that there's a lot of ageism when it comes to people and music, and thinking, okay, you should only, because you existed in another era, you shouldn't be existing in this era? And how do you make sure that you push past those stereotypes and say, look, as long as I'm alive, I'm here, and I'm enjoying the here and the now, the music, the life, and even the teachings, and I'm sure you still learn a lot of things to this day?
Yes, I'm a lifelong learner.
Yeah.
You know, when people call me names, you know, there's certain names like Maestro and all that. Oh, I hate that stuff because you learn every day. Sure. But to answer your question, I've done Tai Chi, and I did it quite seriously for about 5 years, and I've still maintained the idea with it. And then I learned a lot of Tao philosophy, and that means living in the moment.
Yeah.
Because that's the whole thing, is that everything is temporary. So where this makes sense is that if I'm working on a project, like I've just been finishing this project called Multipolar.
Yeah.
And while I was doing it, the most important thing was that project. The most important thing. I would live, sleep, eat, breathe that thing. Yeah. Now that it's done, I'm thinking, what next?
Yeah.
You know, and it's not even out yet.
Yeah.
So it just shows. And I actually texted Thandi Ntuli, you know, who's she calls me her honorary musical father, and I'm so blessed for that, because she's a beautiful soul.
Cheers.
But I said, Thandi, isn't it funny that how you get so involved in something, and then when it's finished? And she said, yeah, I just know how you feel.
Yeah.
It's like that. So everything in life is temporary, and if you don't live in the moment, then you're not living to the fullest extent. And also I learned that I think I've learned more that life is more about the process, but rather than the outcome. And there's a philosopher, that Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius, that says the journey is the destination.
Nice.
So when you learn that the journey is the destination, you stop thinking of, okay, as long as I do this, and this is the important date that I'm working towards all the time, then you can relax and enjoy your life more from day to day.
Yeah, you've been part of the process of handing over the baton, and not a lot of musicians remain that were part of that transition. And I think you've been one who's been privileged to also be part of the mix of what's happening with this new youthful era of jazz. What are you seeing? And when you sit back and you're like, okay, this is where it's at now, what are you seeing there?
What I see is that the music of the day, like the contemporary improvised music, I think it's a reflection of a quest for identity. Because in as much as we say, look, apartheid happened 30 years ago, and it's time to move on and no more excuses. The thing is that the cultural the cultural marginalization was something that happened for so long, and now the youth are saying, hey, listen, this is us, we are proud, we are discovering things in what was largely an oral tradition, and we being able to reflect that. And so then young people are not faced with this thing of, is what we're doing valuable or not? They know it's valuable now.
Sure.
And I remember like at Cape Town Jazz Festival, International Jazz Festival, some US journalist came over, and he went to a Herbie Tswaidi concert, and the audience was singing the themes. Yes. And he was amazed. He says, man, this doesn't happen in the US.
Yeah.
And so you look at it increasingly that it's not just jazz. The audience is not separated from the musician. And so we depend on that energy that comes back from the audience. And so you find that South Africa is a beautiful place to play in because it becomes a communal experience and not just me on stage playing for you and then after the song a polite clap.
Well, speaking about playing, you'll be performing at the Summer Award nominations, and you taking the stage for South African Music Awards. How connected do you still feel to that entire space and performing in those audiences?
Well, I don't think I'm performing live, but what happened was I've been working with this pianist, Teboho Kobedi.
Oh, nice.
And so to answer your question, we did a duo recording where
lovely.
for the Sama nominations, they came and they recorded us playing the duo. And so they're going to project that. And I haven't seen it. I hope it sounds okay. So on the nomination day, they're going to be... playing what we did in studio.
Yeah, and do you still get nervous to see it? Like, oh, I can't wait to see it. And when it does, do you still get those goosebumps? Is that there's still life, those butterflies in there?
Yeah, of course. And then you think, hey, is my profile looking all right? Did they get the right camera angle?
Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Steve. It's been a lovely conversation. Thank you for joining us here in studio as well. It's been a wonderful conversation indeed.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Well, let's go for a break.
Zochitika ndi madaphiri kamlondola wa zochitika pena paliponse.
Mabhizinesi osiyana-siyana mdziko la South Africa ayamba kukhoma msonkho wa 30% akamagulitsa katundu wawo ku dziko la United States of America. Nepanotele ndikatswiri wa zachuma mu dziko la Malawi, Dr. Betha Chikadza. Boma la South Africa masiku apitawo linanena kuti ngati America akani kutsitsa msonkho, bomalo lipeza misika ina. Mungatifotokozere kuti ndizotheka South Africa kupeza misika yomwe ingabweretse ndalama pafupifupi $15 billion zomwe imapezeka ku nsika ya ku America.
Tinene kuti izizi zitha kuchitika koma sizingachitike mwa pompopompo chifukwa tikaonetsetsa izi zinthu zokuti inali nsika wa dziko la America unali nsika wakukhazikika umene dziko la South Africa linali likazolowera kale. Tsono kuti tingonena kuti dziko la South Africa lipezanso nsika mwina mwansangasanga kuti lizitumiza katundu wake mwina sizingachitike pacho kuti tikunena papa $15 billion ndi ndalama zambiri ndithu.
Zochitika ndi madaphiri lolemba mpaka lachisanu pa nthawi ya 7 koloko kufikira 8 koloko madzulo. Channel Africa.
The KZN Convention Bureau, in collaboration with Milvis Advisory and the city of Umhlatuze, bring you the 2025 Tourism Investment Forum Africa. As a global platform for local action, the Tourism Investment Forum Africa aims to promote secondary and tertiary cities, regions as attractive investment and tourism hubs. Be part of the movement transforming tourism investment in Africa. Join us for the TIFA 2025 from the 27th to the 29th of August at Tambela Venue in Richards Bay, KwaZulu-Natal, South Africa.
Benjamin Moshatama and Palesa on the move.
Yeah, you know it. Lelo jezwalishi agimi eline punga lako Tumalo yako kushoti keli ni kama hora mabili meles fuben sako amwaba unempazo kunhlanga zimuka noma oyadali ngeli telepota dali yenhlizweni yakho zofika maduze phakathi kwamabili u12 akulaleki Pussy coffee latte, yenhlizweni yakho zofika maduze. Bayatela laba babonayo, nsuku zonke, mihla yonke.
seringi qinisi phela ngawe ngaphopha idayisi lirole usiyisi lapho baba njengeqiniso malabo chillis ngifuna ukubamela ubuhlungu khona ngifuna ukuhlala kwi-passenger seat with the roof gone wena udlala i-all-star I got Jimmy Choos on Drew Scott mina nawe shisa njengelusi you say your ex used to play you like a good song mina ngile ngomo iphila ubusuku bonke jukebox mina ngile mbali wayithola kumdali yejabulisa ishozi nabasali isikhali isidalele thina baby yangali mhlawumbe sona sinekani kodwa mina nawe sihlezi sineplani bengisahlanganisa lo cash ngizama ukuthola i-private jet ngizobona ukushare bayadela laba babonayo nsuku zonke mihla yonke bayadela laba babonayo nsuku zonke mihla yonke sengisho
That is Nomfundo Mo with Black Diamond, Indies Machine.
That's an airplane.
Yay! We're flying out of here.
All right, we are flying out of here.
Say that again.
Indies Machine.
Okay, Lulu is obviously here and she's coming to let us know what's coming up on the Africa Update. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. Hey, so Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu reiterating his call for Africa to be granted permanent representation on the United Nations Security Council. A number of African leaders have been calling for that. And, this is something that we will be unpacking. And then activists have accused SADC leaders of not doing enough to stop the war in the DRC. Yeah. So a lot happening on that front. A lot of meetings, a lot of summits taking place, whether it's Qatar. The last time it was the US, it's back to Qatar. So we'll unpack exactly what this means and why SADC leaders are not doing enough. So all that and more coming up on Africa Updates today.
Thank you, Lulu. We look forward to it. And thank you so much for hanging out with us this Friday morning. We'll be back again on Monday as the On The Move team. In the meantime, stay right here on Channel Africa. We have loads of news, loads of current affairs and entertainment from the African perspective. Have a great weekend.
Hey, have a good one, everybody. God bless.
Africa in Business on Channel Africa.
The United States was very vocal at the beginning of South Africa's G20 presidency, and this is largely due to strained relations with South Africa at the time.